Warning. This podcast has been labeled as vile, dangerous, and toxic. Listener discretion is advised.
Limit. Break. A radiance rejoining. And now, here's your host, Aniro Grigori.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Limit Break Radio. Man, it feels good to say that again. That's right, Limit Break Radio doing yet another reunion episode. It was FanFest. You know we had to. Joining me, I'm so happy to have these guys here with me today. We've got Strife. Strife, how you doing?
Hey, man, doing great.
And, of course, everyone's favorite, Nika. Nika, how's it going today?
Oh, I'm the favorite.
You are the favorite.
Oh,
And you don't have a choice. You have to accept that title.
I accept it and with honor.
And the responsibility that comes with it.
Oh boy.
I don't know what that is. There's very, very little responsibility when it comes to Limit Break Radio at this point. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us for yet another reunion episode. It is so nice to be back on the channel, so nice to be back in the saddle again. Limit Break Radio rides at least one more time. And I have a special, exciting announcement for you here today. We will, in fact, ride at least one more time. Get excited, ladies and gentlemen. Limit Break Radio will return one more time. We're going to talk about this more as we get into the program here today. But we're going to talk to you about what you can do to bring back Limit Break Radio. There is a possibility that we may produce new episodes on an ongoing basis, and you can help with that. You can also help with things like restoring the archive. We're going to have all kinds of details here for you today on Limit Break Radio. But we have to start the show, and nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to start on a down note. Nobody wants to start on a bummer. But we need to dedicate today's episode to Wylium. We lost Wylium 1 year ago today, May 17th. And I'm glad that someone reminded me about this because it seems so appropriate to be bringing this show back on the anniversary of someone who meant so much to this community. So I want to see hearts in the chat. I want to see rumpcocks in the chat. We miss Wylium so much. In fact, Wylium was the reason that I came back to Final Fantasy XIV. My first time coming back, resubbing to the game, was to attend the memorial for Wylium. So we want to dedicate today's show to Wylium, one of our fallen soldiers, one of the fallen LB army. That got to get that right out of the way, right at the top of the show. We all miss Wylium, and thank you guys for the hearts and for the rumpcocks. But you know what? We got a lot of FanFest coverage to get to, and we don't necessarily have a ton of time. But we are broadcasting live from Eorzea. Let's go ahead and flip it on over to the Eorzean studios. Hey, look at this. Look at this. Oh, hey. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to join us, you can feel free. I forget, where is our house? I don't remember.
Goblet, 5th Ward, plot 30.
There we go. Goblet, 5th Ward, plot number 30. If you want to join us for today's Limit Break Radio. We got a few people. We got Mary Kennett, at least. But if you want to...
And Rez.
Oh, and Rez as well. So if you want to join us here live in studio, then you can do that. We are in the Goblet, 5th Ward, plot number 30. We are also going to be taking your calls here today on the program. We want to hear your reactions to the full trailer of Endwalker. We also want to hear your reactions to Reaper and so many other announcements. Exclamation point Discord in the chat. We'll get that done. You will get a link to the LBR Discord server. And then the channel that you're looking for is LBR Calls. Lloyd is standing by to take your calls and to forward you along to us. And then we'll go ahead and get you on the air. So obviously a ton to talk about in terms of FanFest, but I thought that I would take a second because it's been 3 months since we've done the last reunion episode. I thought I'd give an opportunity to sort of update everyone on what you've been doing either in game or in your personal life. Nika, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
So my personal life has been extremely different ever since having a child. So
well, we knew that part.
I have only been able to play during patch times, and I've been playing a lot of other games, and so it's hard to.
What have you been playing?
The Nier remake.
Oh,
and Pokemon Snap.
I mean, Pokemon Snap, I can understand, right? Like, that's one that you could probably play with your kid or play at your kid and she could watch it and get something out of it.
She does.
Less so with the Nier. I do not understand your preoccupation with Nier. I finally did those Nier raids and I was mad at myself for doing them.
I was confused.
The entire time. It was baffling.
I was confused too. It's just a lot of fan service and not a lot of substance, I will say.
Yeah. So it's good to have you here and talking about some FF14. Even though I think we're all probably at the same point of how much we play FF14 at this point in our lives. Like I've logged in around patches and that's about it. Maybe I have a little bit more than you right now because I've actually done things like Bezoja. But I have not. Other than that, I did. Just move on to me, I guess. I did finally clear all of the current content. The last thing that I had left was the Nier raids, and I still don't understand. Like, here's my problem with the Nier raids, right? Who was that crossover supposed to benefit? Because as a Final Fantasy XIV player that has never played Nier, I mean, I take that back. I played the PlayStation 3 Nier game, and when I got stuck at a fishing mini game, and went, okay, well, I'm done with this, and never went back. So as a Final Fantasy XIV player that's not really invested in Nier, those raids did absolutely nothing for me. There was nothing in there that made me go, oh, you know what? I should play Nier. Like, I'm really motivated to play Nier after this. I
do think the Anog and Konog storyline was not too hard to follow. Like, it was okay. Like, it was like average fare, but the rest of it was just like fan service and confusion.
Yeah, but like, if you play, so I have to imagine that if I got nothing out of this, that this has to be for the inverse, right? Like, this has to be for a Nier fan. Like, is it supposed to bring a Nier fan to FF14?
I will say I'm in like a group that is really invested in Yoko Taro's universe. From like Drakengard all the way through Nier, they're all actually related. And for some reason, the third Nier raid decided to throw bosses from the first Nier and Drakengard in there. And people in the Drakengard groups were losing their minds. They're like, oh my god, that's so amazing. Why is there Drakengard stuff in this game? And so they were actually, players who don't play 14 were really invested in that raid. I will say.
Really?
Really. Okay.
All right.
I mean, I guess it's in the Square Enix family, right?
Yes, and it is. But I will say, as somebody who is really into both Nier and Nier Automata, it was a little confusing because like the first two raids actually felt like it was going to build up into some kind of connection with Automata. They might be able to make some funky, weird canon out of it. And then the third raid went off the rails, and I have no idea why they included bosses from the first Nier, and it just made no sense. But it was definitely like a lot of fans. They was like, "Oh my god, that was in the game," or "This mechanic feels so similar to the game." But like in the end, like I was a little not let down, but like disappointed by like the fallout from the end. But
I mean, it had no bearing on anything in FF14, so it just felt like a I don't know, a punt. And that, you know what I mean? Like it just felt like they were stalling for time. And then, I mean, I don't know, like visually it was kind of cool, but like, I just don't know who this is supposed to be for. Like, I guess if it's for like Nier super fans, then.
But see, I feel like it doesn't even fit that category because like, what I liked about the Ivalice raids was they at least made Ivalice a part of 14's realm, right?
Yeah.
And it like so even though it was a lot of fans, there was for Tactics fans and 12 fans, it still felt like part of 14.
Yeah.
And like Nier, I was really excited for the Nier raid because I'm such a big Nier fan, but like it didn't feel like it felt, I don't know, it didn't really fit very well.
Yeah, I don't know why they missed the mark on this one versus Ivalice, but they definitely did.
Well, I'm not saying that the Ivalice raids were necessarily the most brilliant thing that I've ever played either.
No, but they at least try to integrate them, right?
Yeah, no, it did. There was an element of at least world building. Like, okay, we at least filled in some of the map there, and I feel like I have a greater understanding. It's weird that Dalmasca is a part of Eorzea, but I guess sure.
I mean, they're paying it off even now, right, with the new storyline.
They are, with the Bezosia stuff, which is shocking. And again, one of the things about Shadowbringers that I wasn't expecting and was pleasantly surprised by. Outside of that, I've actually been playing a shitload of Final Fantasy XI. Hey, it's you know what? It is actually a lot more satisfying than playing 14.
I just can't. I can't play it. It's too clunky. I can't do it.
What's it like having Stockholm Syndrome?
You don't know that you have Stockholm Syndrome when you have Stockholm Syndrome, first of all.
That's fair.
The thing is I knew that there was an element of going back on the crack when I had signed back up to do it, but someone in the Twitch audience was very adamant about me giving Final Fantasy XI another try, and I'm glad that I did because I think that there are a lot of lessons that can be learned from Final Fantasy XI that aren't implemented into not just Final Fantasy XIV, but to modern MMO design that should be considered. There's a lot that's still there that's very valid. Been having a very good time playing Final Fantasy XI, which of course you can catch here on the stream. My either my playthroughs of Final Fantasy 14 or 11. I do a lot of them here on the channel, so make sure you hit that follow button and check it out. That's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and then we do something a little bit special and unique on Saturday. Strife, what have you been doing lately?
Lately, honestly, a lot of work, mostly work. When I'm not working, raiding in World of Warcraft with my guild, and when I do have free time on weekends, actually, lately, have been playing a little bit of FF14. Just started doing the Bosja stuff the other weekend. Well,
and you've also been streaming a little bit of WoW, too, on the channel, haven't you?
Yes, as of last week, I'm trying to stream most Wednesdays if I can.
Dude, that's what's up. So make sure that you join Strife on Wednesdays. And I also heard rumor of maybe a little weekend streaming sometimes, too.
Potentially, going to see how it goes.
All right, no commitments there, but yeah, make sure that you come hang out with Strife when he's streaming on Wednesdays, because basically, I was thinking, like, what is the through line of the content on our channel? And it's not just specifically MMOs, because I will spend some time playing Fallout 76 as well, but it mostly does seem to be online multiplayer games. So if you're into checking out online multiplayer games, I may actually end up up picking ESO back up. And you know what's really wild? I recently just went back and like went through and watched all of the Hobbit movies and all of the Lord of the Rings movies.
So good.
Because of that Amazon series that's starting up that's supposed to follow the Silmarillion. So I was like, you know what? Let's see if this holds up. Hobbit movies, not so much. Lord of the Rings, for 20-year-old movies, Jesus Christ, do they still hold up, rather. And so, you know, I've been kind of maybe toying around with playing through some Lord of the Rings online, too. So you can catch that all on the channel, twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. It's where you are right now, in fact. So make sure you hit that follow button and come and hang out with us when we are live. So, all right, let's get into it because there was a whole lot that was going down at FanFest and a whole lot that we have to talk about, and we're already 30 minutes into this thing. Real quick, though, before we get into this, I do want to point out a quick feature here to the chat. Now, some people have noticed and pointed out, and we're sorry he couldn't be here, but he's actually on a actual vacation. Juxtaposition cannot be here today. It's not that he didn't want. It's not that he didn't want to be here. But
F in the chat.
He is not able to be here today, and King Brohamet has so wonderfully pointed out how you can do Juxta's job. We have a new feature here on the stream that allows you.
Jesus, did you even try?
Thank you, Lloyd. To fire Juxta drops whenever you want. The only thing.
Disgust me.
Yeah, I know. The only thing that is required is chat points. How do you earn chat points? Well, you watch the stream, or you follow, or you subscribe. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do, including participating in raids and stuff like that, to earn chat points. And yeah, we know that 2,000 points per drop is a little bit steep, but the thing is that we need to. We need you not to abuse it.
This must be purged.
We need you not to abuse it that much. And so, you know.
You disgust me.
Oh, God.
I don't have enough points to do one. I only have 9. Okay, but to be fair, I usually use the LBR account, and I'm currently using my personal account. So that's why I don't have very many points.
Unbelievable.
Unacceptable.
Oh, you have opened a door with this one.
Oh, thank you, Crimson.
Jesus, did you even try?
Jesus, here we go.
Somehow I just claimed 50 points. How did I claim 50 points? I don't know. I've got 980 points. I can't do anything with that.
You accumulate points just by watching or following or subscribing. There's a variety of ways. I just explained this. If you want to find out more, you can click the chat points at the bottom of the chat. It'll give you a rundown of basically everything that you can do to earn chat points. But we think that this is going to be a fun new feature for you guys to play around with. All that we ask is that you please don't abuse it that much. Okay, so we will see when Juxta returns if this feature sticks around. But now, you know, I don't have to be responsible for you know, firing all the drops.
Oh, you guys!
So that feels pretty good. Anyway, guys, so have fun with that, and yeah, make sure that. That you're following and accumulating chat points. So let's go ahead and talk about the Final Fantasy XIV FanFest. We knew that we were going to be finding out more about Endwalker. We got a whole bunch of information thrown at us, and let's you know what? Why don't we just start off by why don't we all take a look at the trailer? We'll all watch it together and remember together. So here's the Endwalker trailer.
this right. Come on!
Here's where we start getting into some new stuff.
The star seemed doomed to unravel, and yet... there were those who stood in defiance of that fate. The hour is come, Vritra. It's all or nothing.
I wish we got a bit more comprehensive look at the map, the fully revealed map.
The stage is set, but will our heroes deign to play their part?
Like how the Reaper tease is held till the last minute.
Oh yeah.
The spite afforded this land was but fleeting. The end draws nigh.
This part gets me.
Yeah. Dude, this render's insane.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I knew it.
This scene is just incredible.
Oh, absolutely.
Take care, my friend.
Charlian would keep its counsel while the world is lost to ruin.
It would. Come what may, we shall live on. We must.
Do as you must then, but we scions will fight until the heavens fall, until our last breath.
That's so good.
So good. Interesting. I didn't notice until now that the scythe has a revolver barrel in it. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, it's like a motor almost.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Gunblade scythe?
Maybe. That's pretty OP, though.
Past the far edge of fate. Green blades dark and light. Tolling the coming of the end.
Now, am I crazy, or did the thing that he just killed on the moon, wasn't that a Shadow Walker's enemy? Or Shadowbringer's enemy, rather?
Honestly, it looked like something out of Bleach.
I mean, you're not wrong, but...
I didn't see it close enough.
I don't know. I saw it. All I could think was Hollows from Bleach for some reason.
It's from,
is it from
it's from Amurot. Yeah. I was sure that was it. All right, so there we go. There is the trailer. Reactions from you guys. I mean, there's a lot that's going on here. But just gut reactions from seeing that trailer.
My first reaction is that they upped the CGI on the characters.
Quite a bit.
There's something about like their faces are beautiful. They're like sculpted. Their jawlines just look more beautiful than any other trailer we've gotten for the other expansions. That was my first. Was like, wow, like Y'shtola has like nice like jaw going on.
Yeah.
Both Graha and Y'shtola look amazing.
Yes, they do. Graha too.
Yeah, I mean, literally, this is, I think, one of the best rendered CGI trailers that they've ever done. Stormblood doesn't come anywhere close to this. Shadowbringers, I think everyone was so confused by what was happening in the Shadowbringers trailer that we were trying to decipher so much that we couldn't actually just kind of appreciate it for what it was. There's a lot that's going on here, but I think there's not too much that's confusing. I think everything is fairly straightforward. We know what the stakes are and where we are in this story. Everything seems to be arriving at the conclusion. Hence Endwalker. Hence the end of the Hydaelyn and Zodiark storyline. And I think that this is a real love letter to the game that they created. It's obvious that they've put a lot of hard work and effort and love into crafting this game, into crafting this world. And I honestly think that whatever the story payoff is going to end up being, that it's going to be huge. And I'm hoping that it's going to have a pretty big emotional impact too.
Yeah, I mean, they had dragons in the cinematic. We're all back, right? It's Heavensward again.
Well, I mean, it's dragons, but even more like there's, we've got, here's some, these look like Void Sense straight up.
Yeah.
We've got Vertra, as you had said, we got dragons back too. So hopefully we're going to find out a little bit more about the first brood. We do know that Vertra is the youngest of the first brood, so I think that's pretty interesting.
I have PTSD from 11 from fighting Vertra. I don't even want to see this dragon in this game. No.
But it's Estinian's buddy.
Yeah, they're friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be any way to avoid it. But a legitimate question, though, where has Vertra been hiding?
Good.
Where?
In 11.
It's in 11, yeah. Where did he spawn? Down in King Rampier's tomb?
Yeah, it was like in the basement level.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. He's been hanging out in King Rampier's tomb.
All those skeletons. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Lloyd is right. Jomergund was way worse than Vertra. But I mean, the thing is that the skeletons just murder you down there, and I can't look at Vertra. Can't.
Right. Well, I mean, either way, I mean, there's, like you were saying, Nero, there's a ton of stuff in this trailer to unpack. I mean, like, for example, where the fuck was Justola walking?
Off screen?
No, everyone's been talking about it on Reddit. Basically, if you look at the map they show, there's supposed to be a desk there. So everyone's like, is she just stepping over people, or I think it's the big thing right now. It's pretty funny.
She can walk on air.
So
it's really awkward.
I think there's a couple of things that are being paid off big time in this expansion that I think are really worth getting excited about. Charlayan is, I think, a really big deal.
I'm very confused about this because I thought Charlayan was the place outside of Isleshire that was like literally destroyed.
That was new Charlea. This is old Charlea.
Yeah.
They went back. I think in the storyline they mentioned that they went back to the old island where they used to.
They did.
I don't even remember that. I just remember Charlayan was gone and everyone moved on in their lives.
That was the modern one where the twins went to attend and all that stuff.
We've got.
I thought they made a new Charlayan because the old one they couldn't stay there.
Reverse, I think. I think they went back to the old one after the new one blew up. I could be wrong.
Well,
I don't know, man.
We've also got this dude here. That is clearly the twins' father.
It's gotta be.
Well, anyone who has the Encyclopedia Eorzea already knows that his name is Fortunalt?
Something like that.
Yeah, Fortunalt Levilure.
No. It's probably Fortunal.
Louis
Levilure.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. Anyway, he is confirmed by the Encyclopedia Eorzea as the father of the twins and the son of Louis Sois. Mentioned that he's kind of a very strict traditionalist when it comes to the affairs of Charlayan. I think that this is going to be an interesting dynamic to unpack. You've got, obviously the kids' relationship and then the legacy of Louis Soix that, that are going to have to be reconciled. But it doesn't seem like, at least from the context of this trailer, that we're going to be getting a whole lot of help from Charlayan.
No, in fact, I think they show it being attacked at one point, but it's hard to say that's before or after we show up.
Yeah, it is kind of tough to decipher exactly who or what is being attacked. There is a whole lot of fire that's going on.
I just every time they introduce these new zones and these new characters that are clearly important, I just wonder, why haven't you joined the fight until now?
Well, I think the Charlayans have a reason behind that. I think they're one of those, like Switzerland, they want to be true neutral. They don't want to partake in any conflict.
They have a strict policy of observing and not interfering with the events.
But when your children are saving the world 10 times over, you don't even send them a congrats card or something? They're just...
Nika, you don't watch enough anime. You need to have daddy issues to be a protagonist. Okay?
That's true.
That's how it works. And the twins are the protagonists besides the Warrior of Light, right? So,
but I mean, I also think that that's a very important kind of thematic element that's going to be going on here as well. Is the sort of generational conflict that's going to exist between basically the Scions and old Charlayan.
In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the reason Ystral is there is actually so that Graha can sneak in and find that knowledge. I doubt he's there, with permission.
You may be right. I mean, he is
going through stuff.
Considered a scion. I don't know if he didn't come from Charlayan.
He did. Did he? He was a student. Okay. He was a student.
Oh yeah, because he was one of the Baldessian.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Now I'm remembering. It's hard to remember going all the way back to the original Crystal Tower sequence. Jeez.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely there's a lot to get excited about. Obviously, the thing that people are still complaining about is that we're going to be dealing with this asshole still. We've got Xenos to contend with, and I've thought quite a bit about this, because I don't think that there is anyone that is more hated in the FF14 pantheon than Xenos. Generally, he's hated as a bad villain, right? Like most people are like, he was pretty disappointing. However, I think that he can carry over. I think the fact that everyone is kind of exhausted by Xenos may actually kind of play out in this storyline's favor. I don't know what to expect from the relationship between Xenos and the Warrior of Light, but I think that there's going to be an interesting dynamic that is going to be played out. And I have this sneaking suspicion, and I don't think this is good, and I don't want this to be the way that it goes, but I have this sneaking suspicion that he's going to end up our Vegeta.
Same actually. 100%.
What?
There's no way that he doesn't at this point, the way they're setting him up.
I was just going to say he's more like Seymour from 10. You can't get rid of him no matter how much you kill him.
I don't know about that. I think he's more of a Vegeta character.
Yeah, I sort of think that he's gonna be he's gonna be that constant rival. Sort of, it's a bit of a mirror relationship between Sid and Nero, yes, right. Frenemy, exactly.
He thinks we're best friends. Let's be clear. He thinks we're best friends. Literally refers to you as his best
that
friend.
awkward kid in class who doesn't have friends but thinks the one that picks on him is friend.
Maybe.
That's me.
Maybe.
That's Thanos.
But clearly, we're going to have to deal with him. And, I do expect by the end of it that he's going to be hanging around with Estinian and, being one of the, one of the gang.
I don't know. Xenos is really evil, though. He's got a lot of his mind. His frame of mind is very evil compared to.
Is he?
He feels more like chaotic neutral.
It's no. As soon as he learned about the multiple worlds, he's like, "Fuck! I want all of it."
Chaotic crazy at best.
I mean, listen. So was Vegeta.
Garlemald when I can have the universe.
So was Vegeta.
I'm sorry. I'm the Prince of all Saiyans. Come on, you don't remember that, Nika? Come on, let's bring it back.
Come on.
Surely remember.
I don't know.
You have never watched this anime before. Like, this is a common trope.
Literally blew up planets.
Yeah. Great point. Great
Exterminated races. And by the end of the series, best bud.
Yeah. I mean, by the end of it, he has a fucking mustache. I don't even want to hear it. By the end of this,
They retconned that.
Listen,
actually, they retconned that. That's not
They
canon.
retconned GT.
you know what? I don't give a shit. I don't. You know what? No. That is the worst thing that has ever been retconned about Dragon Ball Z ever is Vegeta's mustache. Okay, and here's the thing. I predict. Okay, and write this down. This happened May 17th, 2021. So when it happens, you can come back and relive this moment. But by the end of this, yes, Xenos will be our friend, and he'll have a fucking mustache.
At least one of those two things are correct.
I don't know. I refuse to be friends with him. I don't like him. I want him gone.
You're already best friends.
Stab him through the heart with my fucking sword.
Nika,
just like friends do.
Nika, he will have a very compelling redemption arc. He will have a moment of clarity.
I already gave Yotsuyu the compelling redemption arc. Xenos does not need it.
What about Emmett Selch? Nika, how do you feel about Emmett Selch?
Listen, this is Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV doles out redemption arcs like it's fucking candy.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
Yeah.
Xenos does not need or deserve a redemption arc.
Well, he's getting one because he's our best friend. Let's move on. Best bud.
You might be right. You might be right, but I don't know. I don't trust Square Enix to be able to get it right.
I know. I also felt that Yotsuyu didn't need one, but here we are.
All right. Well, we didn't just get the Endwalker trailer. Oh no, we also got plenty of other trailers, including our first look.
Jesus, did you even try?
Oh, come on. Including our first look at Reaper.
Whoa.
God, these animations are so good. All right, so confirmation of the new job, Reaper. I think most of us had kind of guessed this from Yoshi-P's T-shirt from the first FanFest. We had kind of end up coming around to the idea that it might end up being a scythe-wielding job class. We knew that it was going to be a physical DPS. I am so excited about this. This is finally a DPS job that I can really get behind. And I just love the fact that Dark Knight gets two jobs. Like, we're so cool. We're so cool that, one job isn't enough, right? Like,
I'm actually conflicted because it's like, how do I be as edgy as possible? I don't know which one to main.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. It's a tough choice. I think though Reaper is the bit more of the like fashionable, like I shop at Hot Topic Dark Knight,
like the emo version. Maybe? Yeah,
there's a lot of like Bloodborne going on in the armor design. I think that's a compliment. But I listen, I like the whole vibe of it. I think that this is going to be a really fun addition, to the jobs, and I'm excited to play it. This is finally be the first job since Dark Knight that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to play this right out of the gate.
Yeah, I honestly, like, I do not know what to main now in Endwalker because of this job. Like, I was like, yeah, I'll probably main Dark Knight again. And I looked at this and I'm just like, ah, shit. I really don't know how to pick.
I'm sticking to Paladin because he's a pretty Paladin and I've always been a pretty Paladin. So now pretty Paladins for life.
Okay, Nika.
I mean, I guess.
Wait, he turned into a Paladin and he was glowy and cool and it was like a badass turn. Like, how can you not look at that and be like, yes, Paladin?
I mean, the cape thing at the end is cool, I guess.
It's very cool, and it should make you want to main Paladin.
I did in ARR.
No, but like now.
Yeah, but I didn't want to just hit 3 buttons, so I stopped.
It's more than 3 buttons.
Is it?
It is.
Is it?
Is it 4 now?
So no, because like with even with how little I've actually been playing FF14 this entire patch cycle, I still ended up leveling, both my Dark Knight and my Machinist to level 80. So it'll be nice to have the two, the two jobs to sort of switch between. But this, I'm very much into this. And there was a lot of people who thought that, it's not going to be a scythe job. It can't be a scythe job. We've already got Dark Knight. That just wouldn't be fair. And to be drinking the tears of all of those people is wonderful.
We were subbing
Indeed.
since my credit card expired XD.
Oh, man.
That's a bummer.
Thank you, Nika.
You're welcome.
I'm glad that we took a moment out of the show to read your resub message.
I didn't know I was going to read it out loud.
Well, that's what the thing does. With that,
But I thought we shut it off for the show usually.
No. When have we ever done that?
I don't know.
Anyway, all right. So,
do your job.
Yeah, do your job.
Anyway.
So
like, I mean, it's good, man. I mean, you're gonna have Reaper. I'll have Reaper or Dark Knight. If I keep with Dark Knight, then we just need 2 other edgelords, and we can do dungeons together.
See, like we need an entire to have a full entire party of edgelords. You know what?
Right. Yeah, where's our physical ranged edgelord? Right? Where's
exactly. See, I don't even know what would be in a. Well, we already have guns.
Can you have a healing edgelord?
No, we need a healing edgelord, and I don't. What would that be? I don't know.
Siege is a Gundam. That doesn't count. So.
You cut yourself to heal someone else? No, that doesn't.
Just splatter your blood over everyone.
That kind of works.
Your blood has healing properties of some sort, I guess, and
use your blood to mix into potions.
Well, we have that, right? We have those crystals that incorporate your blood to do some kind of Deus Ex Machina thing.
Maybe we did need the chemist job after all. Shit.
Damn it.
Well, we
blood
got
chemist. Blood chemist. I like that idea. Blood chemist.
Nika started a hype train.
Nika, see what you did? You started a hype train.
Don't encourage them, Nika.
Hype. Bits go.
I guess. Anyway, so yeah, I am super excited for this. Like I don't want to say that I was on the fence about the expansion, because I think Shadowbringers kind of brought me back in a big way, especially for the story content, right? But man, I found myself getting extremely excited about. Jesus, thank you, Crimson Tinted, gifting 5 gift subs in the channel, continuing the hype train, I guess. But yeah, I think that this is going to be one of the funnest additions to FF14 in a long time. And this is going to keep going on for a minute, so we'll just kind of just let it go. But we did also get to see the new Charlayan in a little bit more detail. Let's take a look at this.
It's gorgeous.
I love the architecture, because I mean it does, everyone.
Idleshire times 30.
It is. It's Idleshire if Idleshire didn't get fucked up.
Exactly. It looks so good.
Yeah.
It's almost like Greek, right? We said
Greek. Yes. Greek Roman a little bit too.
Mm-hmm. It's got that ancient vibe.
Yes. Yes.
This Aethrite. Can we talk about this Aethrite?
Yeah.
It's like pretty. It's
so
really
different.
pretty.
Yeah, the Aethrite specifically in Charlayan is really unique, and it should go. I think we should probably mention that the Charlayans are responsible for creating the Aethernet. Are they not?
Oh my god, I don't remember. I feel so stupid.
'Cause I'm pretty sure, because remember, they had an Aetherite like assembly factory in New Charlayan. So I believe that they were responsible for getting the Aether network up and running.
I think you might be right. Yeah, I think you are right.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's what it is. So you got to think, like, if they're the originators of the Aetherite, that there might be, something awful special. There's definitely something unique about this Aetherite, but you got to think there might be something special about it too.
Dude, if they destroy that city, like lore-wise, by the end, and we lose all that knowledge, oh my god, I'd be so pissed.
It'll be like the burning of Alexandria.
Exactly. That's actually a trope now. I see in a lot of shows, like burn down the neutral place where it loses all the knowledge, and like the world is lost. Like, I hope they don't go for that.
Man, that's kind of a terrifying thought, to be honest with you.
They might. It's.
I don't know. I am excited to check out Old Charlayan. And obviously this is going to be the player city, the player hub.
Thank God, it's a place I actually want to hang out.
Yeah, same.
Look at it at Twilight. It's like so amazing.
It really is. I just love the architecture. Like this library is really cool. We saw that a little bit in the opening, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but they've kind of got these. They look like Aether bridges a little bit farther down here, like right here and here. So that's something small that reminds me of Final Fantasy XI. I just kind of love that. I just I think that's really kind of cool. So yeah, Old Charlayan is definitely I think something to look forward to.
The Great Global Library or whatever is similar, right? Also Charlayan?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
I like that.
And why don't we go ahead and kind of talk about the zone that's going to be accompanying it. I assume that it's going to be accompanying it. Barber job, and they can use leeches, says Carletta. Thank you, Carletta. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and take a look at Labyrinthos.
Oh yeah, the underground one.
Yeah.
This music.
I know, this music is so weird.
I feel like it's anyone else get like circus vibes, or is that just me?
No, for sure.
But it feels like it's intentionally off.
I'm creeped out by it because you're underground. There's a fake sky and there's circus music playing. Is this where you go when you go insane? Like,
see,
is this the acid trip, like a really bad one?
I actually think that this is jail. That's what I think. No, I think that this is where the Charlayans put people who they are troublemakers.
They don't have death row. They just banish them to here.
Yes.
Oh God. That's somehow worse.
Because like, think about it. This would be a lot more humane. It's a society, a society unto itself. It's underground.
A bunch of gang wars down here.
It's either that or it's a Fallout bunker.
It could be.
Like
it could, I mean, they'd have to have a bunker, right?
That Aetherite is the more broken looking.
Well, that's the same style Aetherite that we've seen in other places in the world.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's too surprising.
I think it's more like they care less about this place.
I mean, do you think that I'm wrong on the idea that it is connected to Charlayan in some way? Because I think the architecture is Straight up Charlayan.
Well, it's definitely not Thavnarian.
No, it's for sure not Thavnarian. That you are right about that. There's not nearly enough neon purple.
It definitely seems more Charlayan by looking at it that way.
Heartslot says on the moon ? Maybe I don't know. Like it could be.
Would there be Aethrite on the moon though?
But, I mean, I think there already is. We already saw it in the.
Yeah, we did.
Was there? There was
Aethrite on the moon.
Uh-huh.
How do you think we get there, Nika? Think we take a spaceship?
How did we get to the first? We didn't Aethrite there either. So.
I actually do.
We Aethrite it out.
No, I actually do think we either. I don't. Probably not a spaceship, but like. I don't know that one. We'll get to it. The video of ostensibly what could be the dungeons, but there's something that looks awfully organic that has a whole lot of mouths or teeth or doors that look like teeth.
Like the Void Ark, yeah.
Yeah, like it could be like a lunar whale sort of situation where we ride in its belly. I don't fucking know. I'm trying to figure this all out. It's very confusing.
Thanks, Square.
Right?
I didn't know the devs watched the Teletubbies.
I guess they do.
Where do you think they got their gameplay from?
Jesus.
Ouch.
Try.
Ow. Ow. Anyway, so yeah, no, I think that there is something to that there's a connection between old Charlayan and Labyrinthos. The fake, they made a big deal about the fake sun, right? Like, so I think that was to drive home like this place is supposed to be underground, even though it has a skybox. I'm not entirely sure where that's going. I'm very interested in it though. Speaking of Thavnir, why don't we take a look at the video showing off Thavnir?
Better put on glasses for this. My eyes.
Sunglasses, big ones.
For real.
Get your shades out. Turn down that digital vibrance. Cool music.
Yeah, I like the music a lot.
The visuals are obnoxious.
Yeah.
I think this is supposed to be what did we see before? Indian influence?
It's very Indian, but I still feel like
South American and Indian inspired, yes.
When they show the inside colorful, I feel like that looks fine, but the outside being colorful just hurts.
Yeah, it's like a little too much.
I think, specifically, I think what you're talking about, and where I think I noticed it the most was this shot right here of the purple stone.
It's the purple, yeah.
Yeah, and it really is eye-catching to the point of almost being obnoxious. But I like it though. I think that it's such a contrast with the other places that we've been. What it reminds me of is that sort of unnatural purple hue that we saw to the Lakeland area when we first got to the Shadowbringers areas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with the color itself or its contrast. It's just that sometimes with certain lighting, that brightness could get out of control, and I worry about that. Maybe it
was the Raz-at-Han video that I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm thinking of the Raz-at-Han.
I think
this landscape looks good.
Yeah, no, it does look unnatural though, in a very kind of cool way. I mean, this is a very fantasy setting. I like that, the architecture and the culture can span all the way from Gothic in Ishgard and go all the way to Indian and Peruvian in Thavnir and Raz-at-Han. Let's take a look at that Raz-at-Han video here. I love the art and the architecture. It's so beautiful.
Those fucking drums.
Dude,
they're big.
This music fucks.
There. See, like the outside here.
There's only parts of it. It's not all of it.
Too much.
There's
I think they show an inside of a building.
Yeah.
The inside the colors look fine because I feel like it's interior decorating. The outside looks like my child took a Crayola crayon and colored on the outside.
Yeah, like here, some of the colors of how bright they are.
Yeah.
It just depends. There's a few places where I felt like the hue was just a little too bright and it clashed with everything else. But that was my only, I like the color scheme. I like having the different colors. It's just, yeah.
I think it works, though. I think it works for, presenting a unique vibe culturally for the area. It is somewhat a little bit similar to stuff that we saw over in Doma. That my first initial impression when I had first seen some of the screenshots was like, oh, okay, it's like Doma, but a little bit more Indian influence. I think this kind of makes me think like, no, this is more Indian and Peruvian, and this is fairly unique from Doma as well. But at first, it gave me very Doma vibes. All right, let's go ahead and continue on here. By the way, if you want to call the show, you are more than welcome. We are taking your calls over on Discord. !Discord gets you a link to the Discord channel, and then you're going to want to go over to the channel LBR Calls. Lloyd is standing by to take your calls. So if you want to share any of your opinions, whether it be about the new areas that we've taken a look at so far, or anything about Endwalker or the FF14 FanFest, give us a call, !Discord in the chat to get that link provided to you. There were hang on, for some reason I am missing these screenshots, but we heard about at least one new area that they didn't name. I was waiting for the name drop the entire time, but it's a collection of floating islands that looks a little bit similar to Sea of Clouds. Do you guys remember this part of the presentation?
Oh,
yes,
yeah, definitely.
Everyone was saying Zeal from Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I got a little bit of that vibe from it as well. We'll get a little bit deeper into this with Mare Lamentorum. But there were even some other people that were saying some of the buildings that existed on there reminded them of sort of Amarat architecture. Which I think that's really interesting. I mean, obviously, that's not an in-game development screenshot. That is a piece of development artwork. There's a lot that could change. But I think that also brings us to Mare Lamentorum. Mare? I don't remember how it's pronounced. Well, let's take a look at that video right now. So there's the Aethrite. We just saw the Aethrite. Interesting. Another sort of library-ish looking structure. Thematically, that's two that we're getting between Lamentorum and Old Charlayan. I think that's interesting. Whatever that is looks very Why can't I think of the Crystal Tower, the fucking culture that made Crystal Tower? I can't think of it. Allegan, thank you.
Yeah, the Allegan Empire.
Why did that take so long to come to mind? All right, so going back here, taking a look at this. Yeah, this looks very Allegan. Which I think some people have said they think it might be the ship that we take to the moon, possibly. That's, I think, a good guess, but I don't think that's what it is. We've seen, I think, similar structures when it came to Bahamut and the binding coil of Bahamut. So the function of this, I'm not confident enough to say that it is a ship of some sort or some description. But definitely some really interesting stuff in this trailer. So let's kind of break this down. We had talked about the Aethrite here in the opening moments. This does confirm that there is in fact an Aethrite on the moon. Probably not how we're going to be getting there, for the first time. But once we're there, that's how we'll get back. And then, of course, we've got this sort of library-looking structure that the Warrior of Light is going through, although lots of crystals instead of books. Maybe they're storing information on crystals? I don't know. We seem to be learning a lot about the nature of crystals and aspected crystals and shit like that. And here we go. Let's talk about this building right here, because...
looks straight out of Amarant.
It does. It literally looks straight up pulled right out of Amarant, and in very good condition, mind you. So I've heard some people speculating that the moon could possibly be one of the shards of Amarant. Amarant was of course destroyed. We have the entire Ascian backstory that tells that story, but that the actual celestial body was actually blown apart, and this could possibly be a shard of that. What do you guys make of that theory?
I mean, it's plausible. I'm not sure I have anything better than that.
I mean, Ascians are connected to the moon and Amarant, so I'd assume something is connected here.
Well, I still think it's probably a remnant of Amarant, because if we're the source and this is our moon, then it makes sense that when we splintered, that pieces of our world ended up here, and if our world was originally like Amarant, then. There
could be a potential hint to this plot point too in the conceptual artwork that they showed as the opening slide, where we see Mare Lamentorum and from a distance, and there's a whole bunch of shards of rock that are floating around it, which we don't really see here as we don't see a band of what could be asteroids or shards floating here in the sky. So you think maybe their inclusion might have been, as a thematic nod to what the actual nature of the moon might be.
Dude, this guy in the chat, Bobby said it looks like Rita Repulsa's castle. Isn't it? I'm fucking losing it.
Bravo. It does. It totally does, for sure.
Lord Zed, is Lord Setup? Is that up there too? Oh, man.
I'm finally free. Anyway, we've also got this weird-looking structure, which looks organic. It all. Thank you, Crimson Tinted. Appreciate that. I don't know what this is, or why it's important, or why we are being shown it. But it's clearly got to be important if it's something that's being shown off.
Huh. I didn't even notice that in the trailer.
Right? It's kind of weird.
Just people.
Yeah, is it a, I don't, like, is it a nest?
They just look like little Nier robots that have been turned into...
They kind of do.
I don't know, like fossilized.
I'm sure it's the moon bunnies, right?
Could be. I mean, Null in the chat says Beast Tribe, maybe, which, that's possible.
I guess I can't tell how zoomed out we are. Is that, are we like really zoomed out and that's like a house? Or is that like a person that has been fossilized and stuck on the ground?
It's a house. I think it's a structure.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a structure.
Okay, when I looked at it, I thought it was like a person.
Yeah, Taser Smurf saying the moon bunnies might live there. Might be. Could be.
Yeah, the Loparites, is that their name?
Yes, I believe.
They're very cute.
I believe that is.
They're not my kind of bunny.
Very cute.
So we also see that there is some internal structure that we're going to be checking out, which I don't know. That's always cool. And then there's this. I don't know what to make of this. This kind of tall spire structure. Have we seen anything that's even close to this?
Like maybe Crystal Tower type nonsense. But like,
could be. I mean,
that's the closest that I can think of.
Yeah, Tower is the only thing that comes to mind.
It's weird because it looks somewhat familiar, but I'm not sure from where.
All right, Taser Smurf says Crystal Palace from 4, which we know this has going to have FF4 connections with the moon and the FF4 minions that we're getting.
Okay.
So this could be like where they're pulling their source from.
You know, that very well could be. It's been a long time since I played 4, but I did play the SNES and the DS version. So maybe that's why it looks so familiar to me. But it definitely looks familiar as shit. It's a cleaner tower and sky. Maybe. Yeah, I think that this is probably the most interesting zone out of all of them for me. So a lot of speculation there. We also heard about and the other thing is the music there is from Mare Lamentorum. Is thematically very much connected to Amarod. That was the theme, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So
it's like a dead giveaway.
So yeah, I mean, even if it's not a shard, we do know that the Ascians have obviously been active up there. I don't think that I was expecting this many structures to be on the moon.
They've been hanging out there a while.
Yeah,
I thought it was just going to be like a moon base in the end, and it would be like the Ascians are hanging out here because they got nowhere else to go.
Think about their background, though. What would their base look like? It's going to look like Amarod. It's going to look like their home.
Yeah, that's true.
But you got to think, if there's something that is sending us to the moon, it's got to be something real serious and compelling, right? So, what could that potentially be? That means that there's got to be something on the moon that we're stopping.
Well, this is the end of the Heidel and Zodiac story, so I'm assuming we're going there to figure something out about the origins of Zodiac.
Well, Zodiac is very much thematically tied into the moon. So, I think that's definitely possible. Do you think that that's where the final confrontation is? Like, is his physical manifestation actually trapped in the moon, or used like kind of think like Binding Coil of Bahamut type,
like Dalamud was the moon,
exactly.
And Bahamut was in there.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Do you think that's? I mean, because like we've already kind of seen that. Do you think that's where they're going with this, or I think
it might be darker. I mean, Fandaniel, whatever his name is so crazy. I think they might just be trying to turn the source into what happened to the 13th. Just full on. Blow
eat it into existence.
Yeah, eat it into the void and all that. Because if the source gets destroyed, that's the opposite of what the other Ascians wanted, right? The Ascians wanted the other shards to kind of go too far so they would rejoin with the source.
Right.
Whereas if the source gets destroyed like they accidentally did with the 13th, then, I mean, it's done, right? And Fandaniel's crazy. Maybe he just wants to see it all burn.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I get from Fandaniel, is that he's just sort of a...
He's insane.
Yeah, a nihilist that wants to just see it all burn. Although he also does use the, everyone has a part to play and all of this sort of stage analogy. I don't know.
Stage is play. I don't think it's the same play that the other three were going after.
No,
right?
I definitely think you're right on the money there. But I think that definitely leaves questions about exactly what type of machinations they have planned. You know what I mean? Like, they
could bait us into summoning either Zodiac or Heidelin. Either one would completely tilt everything, right?
Yeah. And I think his motives, are a very compelling point coming into 6.0. Because 255 or whatever 555. Whatever. We might. I don't know how much I expect to find out about Fandaniel in that period of time. I sort of end up thinking that he's going to end up being the mini boss of the whole thing, and we'll learn about him after we beat him, sort of the same way that we found out about Elidibus after we defeated him. But obviously there's plenty of room for me to be wrong. I definitely think that this is very, very interesting. That we're definitely going to be getting more on the Ascian front, And I'm so excited to be on the other side of the Ascians, right? Like I am so ready, not to just be done with the Ascians, but for the main story quest to kind of take a different arc than it has been taking.
I'm assuming the Praetorium, the new 8-man raid that's coming out, is just going to be kind of an epilogue to the Ascian story and just kind of giving us a little send-off, I would assume.
You would hope. I mean, but there are still a lot of Ascians that exist out there. You know, even the fucking, what do you call it? The raid storyline that we got, this expansion, gave us 2 more.
And I'm not saying they won't pop up from time to time, but I'd like to think that the core plot and all the big names in the Ascians will kind of get wrapped up with 6.0, and then the Pandemonium will just be kind of the aftermath we'll walk through at the end.
So who becomes the big bad after that? Like, what is there that can pose as much of a threat as over time the Ascians have?
I would assume they'd have to hint at a new threat building up in 6.0 and then show it building up throughout the patch series, so that by the time we hit 7.0, it's been revealed that there's this new threat coming. Yeah. But I have no idea. I don't think we've been introduced to it yet.
Maybe. I'd like to get a little bit more information about the dragons and their off-world origins. That's another potential existential threat.
Garcelle, all that.
Yeah.
I mean, could it be possible that they will somehow completely end the fact that there are multiple shards, just make everything one world, whether they destroy them all and merge them into the source in a big calamity, or they just somehow make all of the shards just connected somehow, and now we're all in the same world, so that's just over and we don't have to think about it anymore, and so now the next thing that comes is just going to be like the next country over is starting a war.
And how can they break and pull another Shadowbringers out of their ass in 3 expansions? I don't understand.
I don't know.
You got to go to a different shard eventually, right?
I don't know. I kind of feel like I mean, I've said this before on the show, that I feel like the fact that they dropped the fact that there were multiple shards in Heavensward and then completely ignored it during Stormblood kind of made it seem like they went too big too quickly. So I don't know.
I think they were laying groundwork and then went, oh crap, we got to tell the other story, and just pivoted. I feel like
it just felt weird that Minfilia was Heidelin's mouth, and they're like, hey, there's a big, huge thing in all these universes, and they're all dying, and you got to save them. Oh, but let's just go liberate a single country first, because that's clearly more important.
Yeah, I think they went off the rails in Stormblood with the splitting of the arcs, and it took them a while to get back on track after that.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a huge deviation from where it was building in Stormblood, and I think maybe that was at least some of the frustration that I didn't understand at the time, where it was like, but there's so much other shit that's interesting. Why are we going to Doma? That didn't really feel like it made a whole lot of sense. And if you think about it, there wasn't a whole lot of payoff from what was introduced through Doma, right? Because we have the sort of desolation and the dissolution of the Garlean Empire, and that sort of happens throughout the events of Stormblood, but Doma does not feature strongly in, I think you could have had any fighting force outside of Doma that could have laid the Garleans on their ass and still been able to have the same plot point that Garlemald is descending into chaos.
It just felt like it was a setup for A, Samurai and the justification for that, and then B, the other part of the world we hadn't seen on the map before, beyond El Amigo, that continent, and which technically did set us up for the Evilist storyline as well as Bozja and other things that we have now. So yeah, I mean, it's really just a big setup, right?
Yeah, I just
it didn't stand on its own that well. I will say I liked some of the, I forget what it's called, the Asm Steppes, was it? That section of the storyline back then? I thought there were some cool tidbits there. Yeah, exactly. But as a whole, yeah, I think the Doma arc of Stormblood was just set up for later, and because of that, it's kind of hard to appreciate by itself.
It felt like a TV show in its 3rd season that's spinning its wheels and buying for time.
Yes, that is exactly what it felt like.
Okay, I think that's fair. All right, we've got some. We also heard about some new encounters that we're going to be getting. We already knew that we were going to be getting Anima from FF10 as one of the encounters, which I think is really, really cool. That opens up some really interesting potential encounters if they're going to be bringing some stuff over from Final Fantasy X. Even though they did mention that it is like very much a specifically FF14, and then they're not going to bring a whole lot of lore or anything over from 10.
They're doing the same thing with the Magus Sisters that they just announced, right? That's new original.
Yep, that's where I was going to. Exactly. They're doing the exact same thing with the Magus Sisters with a completely original fight. We've seen just the screenshot that was provided about this encounter, and looking very much like they come from the Thavnair.
Thavnair, but they also didn't say they were encounter. They said that they exist in the story, and to what extent we do not know. So they might not be a fight. They might just be character.
Bah humbug.
Yeah, I don't know. They were on the slide that said new encounters, so
yeah.
But just the way he was like, they exist, and to what extent we are yet to find out. They made it like cryptic.
Unless they're gonna go with the visual novel dating sim route, and the Magus Sisters are like the love interests, I'm pretty sure encounter means boss fight. I'm just saying.
Just the way that they said it, though, like physically out of their mouths, they're like, what extent will they be in the story? Who knows? Gotta find out when you play the game.
Yeah, okay. Listen, I know the art of a tease, okay?
If it was just like new primal fight, why would they do that? I feel like they're more involved in the story than just like new primal fight, guys.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it won't end in a primal fight.
I mean,
they
maybe.
wouldn't list it in encounters otherwise.
I don't know. It seemed suspicious to me is all.
The only thing I want to point out is that obviously with the Magus Sisters there are 3 varying sizes of Magus Sisters. One of them looks like a Lalafell. One of them looks like it could be an Elizin, right? I have no idea what that middle one is. Does anyone want to take a stab at that? I have no fucking clue.
Gross?
Yeah, that's fair. Nika, do you have any idea?
I don't have a picture.
Oh, you don't have a picture. Oh,
no.
Okay. Sorry.
You've not committed the entire fan festival to memory? How dare you?
Yeah.
I remember their clothes and thinking they didn't look like FF10's Magus Sisters.
Yeah, they're definitely all new original, as they said. You can just tell by looking at them.
Lyrium in the chat saying they'll be tied to a Hildebrand storyline, probably. That's, I don't know, maybe.
They ignored Hildebrand this time around, though.
They kind of did. Yeah, but how is Hildebrand going to get to a different fucking shard?
Gilgamesh, that's how.
God damn it. That's a really convenient, stupid answer. But yes, you're right. You're right.
Gilgamesh can hop between games.
Yeah, dude, Hildebrand's just going to show up in FF16 in the middle of it. That's where he's been this whole time.
But I think this is going to be cool. The Magus Sisters, you can do 3 individual fights and then do a fight with all 3 of them.
That would be cool.
Or it's just phases of an amazing fight.
Or yeah, that could be it too. I think I mean honestly, if I was Square Enix and I'm like hurting for content the way that they kind of have been, and like I would do each individual fight and then you fight them all together.
No, make that one fight. Don't be lazy, Square.
Come on,
don't be lazy.
It would be like Brute Justice.
Yeah, but
you fight them on the way up and then you fight them all together.
I guess.
Either way, I think that this is going to be fun. And also, this is very interesting. A lot of people got really excited about this. The new 24-man has been confirmed. It is not going to be a crossover like we had with Nier. It is going to be something unique and original to Final Fantasy XIV. They showed a screenshot from the Sanctum of the 12, which has all of the different gods' icons in it. What do you guys expect out of this? Because, the only thing that section of the map has been used for has been weddings.
I'm just going to say it. It's the common theory, but I think 12 gods, 12 raid bosses over the course of the expansion.
So where are we fighting them? In the basement? At the reception? Temple. Like, are we going to somebody's reception and being like, showing up drunk, being like, I want to fight Thal?
Okay, well, isn't there like a big Isn't there like a big prayer center with all the crystals outside, though? I feel like it's magical, it's gods. They could easily teleport us to a separate arena for each god by praying to it or something. Like, it's not that out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, we just end up in the sky or something. Didn't something happen in the Shiva fight like that, the recent one? Where you, like, teleport somewhere else? And you're, like, on platforms? Like, you go away somewhere? So they can explain it away, is my point. Like, if you're moving to another location.
Yeah, it's not... I think that's probably...
I doubt we'll be on Eorzea fighting them, if we fight the gods at all. But honestly, I'm super excited for this because it's an original 24-man.
If it does involve encountering the gods, it also feels like it will tie in with the story, right? Because they're saying it's the end of Hydaelyn's story, it's the end of Zodiark's story, which, I mean, these are the gods under Hydaelyn, right? So...
We're killing our gods, ladies and gentlemen.
Like, I mean, FF10 again, like, just killing all the gods. Killing them all.
Just primals.
That's primals in the end.
That's the thing. There is an argument to be said that anything that could be considered a god is a primal. If we're going to find out that Hydaelyn is a fucking primal, and Hydaelyn seems to be at even above the 12, then what's to say that the 12 just aren't primals?
Essentially, the Hydaelyn and Zodiark are the first primals, right? I mean, sort of. That was what was implied through Shadowbringers. Like, I mean, we know that primals are, like, summoned by the will of the people and what they want and their imaginings of said god. But, I mean, Hydaelyn and Zodiark were created out of the will of people to have gods in the first place. So, like, I think that
the same process, though.
It's the same process and it's the same concept. They existed first. And I think, essentially, the 12 gods under Hydaelyn could easily be similar.
That's just semantics, though.
Because they're not really gods. They're guardians, right? They're guardians of the months. They're guardians of the...
I mean, use your imaginary friend however you want. It's still an imaginary friend.
Yeah. I mean, if the fundamental thing about a primal is that it is formed through the will and the wish of the people who are calling on a deity for help, then... yeah, it seems like every god is, by that definition, a primal, and therefore killable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've seen any evidence to argue against that. Like, they have to be somewhere, or at least they can be somewhere if summoned.
Here's my thing, though, is that the 12 have played almost no role up till now. Like, there have been literally no reason to pay attention to the 12, who they are, what they represent, or where these stories even came from.
So besides the ceremony Louis Swa and the Scions did at the beginning of ARR/end of 1.0, was there any discussion on the 12 besides, like, in passing?
I feel like it's one of the things that is a big holdover from 1.0 that there was never really a plan for.
I think when you create your character, you choose one. The wedding obviously is at the Sanctum of the wedding's at the Sanctum of the 12, and other than that, I think it's just that AR cinematic with Bahamut.
But I mean, like, there doesn't even really seem to be a whole lot of in-game lore. Obviously the Encyclopedia Eorzea, but like I've never met a 12 zealot. Like, I've never met a character that's, like, so into the religion in FF14 that, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like in 1.0 there were characters that used to say something like, may the 12 God... What are they?
Even beyond 1.0, some characters do say, praise the 12 and stuff like that. It's still used. They still discuss it, but it's such fleeting, passing prayers.
It's almost, like, if I'm to believe that a society poured its will and its hope into the formation of this deity, who's following that? Who's sitting down for Sunday Thal service?
I mean, maybe that's why we haven't seen much of them now, because the people have kind of forgotten them, but moved on.
Then what would make them a threat?
So I don't know if they become a threat or not, but people keep bringing up that, like, our name as the Warrior of Light is very close to two of the gods. What if it depends how far back the lore of the gods goes? I don't remember exactly how far back, but if it doesn't go before Amarat, then what if there aren't gods? The names are just holdovers from the council.
Oh, okay. So the 12 are actually the convocation of 12, right?
Yeah.
That's fucking fuck, that's fucking interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
I think, and maybe it's not exact, right? Maybe the names were changed over time, whatever. But like, what if that's the original Spires? So if someone summons them, they're really summoning these twisted versions of, I guess, Ascians.
Oh, they're primal versions of the original Ascians.
Actually, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that.
That would be hype
all.
as fuck.
That would be
super cool.
Fuck, I'm actually really like that.
Okay.
That does seem really fucking cool.
The only way to make this more epic, Savage 24-man. Let's do it. Let's go.
Oh, that would be fun.
Let's not get into the specifics of the FF14 team delivering on Savage content.
Pain.
All right, let's take a look. We got this sort of dungeon crawl video, and I've watched this a few times, and I sort of feel like we're getting a look at 3 different dungeons in here. But
how many are there normally?
You know,
I think 3.
No, there's more than 3 when leveling. There's like 6.
Yeah,
right?
there's usually
there's more. I mean, when on launch, but maybe there's.
No. It's like as you're going between the 10 levels, like there's usually
It's every odd level.
Yeah.
So it was like the like 71, 73, 75, 77, 79, and 80.
So 5 and then 1 or 2 at max level, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, this is all very organic and weird looking. All right, so that's
like a mouth.
Yeah, that's the first one. Here's the second one. And so it's pretty obvious that these are 2 different dungeons right here. I think, at least. Train's really interesting. Seems like we're going to be fighting on top of the train. This seems...
Can we suplex it?
Yeah, that's what everyone asked. This seems very Garlemald-ish.
This might be how we get into Garlemald.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Although this is interesting. I don't know what these kind of like skeleton looking like almost like bug exoskeleton things look like, and this is a real interesting room. And so this is I think the third dungeon, very sort of Amarat inspired architecture here. Lots of destruction too. Gotta wonder where this is.
On the moon.
I don't think so.
I don't think that I actually don't think this one is on the moon.
Although the biomes are so different, it's hard to say.
True.
What if it's like a fake
go back like
guy?
30 seconds.
All right, hang on. Let's go back. We'll go back to the beginning of this section. So I'll go ahead.
So
and
just look at the biomes specifically, because there's a force field of some kind as well, right?
Yeah. You're talking about this section with the bridge and the force fields. You're right. There is this sort of.
I see a forest. I see mountains. I see snow and ice. I see a desert on the other side.
You know, this may actually be tied in with the what is it, Labyrintharium or whatever?
The fake sky place.
Yeah. We've seen a couple of these towers that look like they were in the Labyrintharium, or what was it called? What is it? Labyrinthos. That's it, Labyrinthos. So, Labyrintharium. So yeah, this may be. I mean, that would explain why there is. Well, would it explain the Amaratish?
It looks like
maybe they were trying to do seasons in different biomes and they fucked it. There's a bug.
Maybe. I mean, because you've got this section that looks like lava and a volcano. You've got this heavily forested section. You've got this the snowy ice section, and then as we turn, we see this sort of like specific, this very sort of specific like desert biome. And yeah, I legit don't know where the fuck this is. This is really interesting.
I guess the guess that it's underground is a good one.
Yeah,
it's in the fake place.
Although I have to say we don't see that patterned skybox that we did around Labyrinthos, right? Like that looked like if you saw it from the outside, it might be a geodesic dome, right?
Right.
You don't have any of that in the skybox here, which is I think interesting. So maybe the access to this is from Labyrinthos. The other thing that I think is really interesting is I do think that there is some very distinctly Amarodish architecture that's going on here.
I don't know. You could guess it was Charlene. It's hard to tell.
I don't think Charlene is very distinct. There's a lot of right angles. There's a lot of sharp angles here, and I think Amarot. That's very, very sort of typical of Amarot architecture. Everything
Maybe.
Let me hang on. Let me bring up.
The tower doesn't look like Amarot building though. Like the actual.
No,
building
yeah,
structure.
exactly. The Amarot stuff is very round, and like there's some angles, but they're not as sharp as a lot of the angles that we're seeing in here. I don't see a ton of similarities between the two. Then again, I haven't spent a ton of time down in Amarot recently, so I may be misremembering, but I think that there's something very important to the Charlayan architecture and therefore culture, and it's this idea of a spiral. We see that after Y'shtola makes her big declarative statement that the camera goes above them and that whole room is organized into a spiral. We see the spiral on the Aethrite here, and we see a lot of domed and round buildings, and in fact when we have that zoom out of the bay, there's a lot of roundness that's going on there. So I think when you have things that are much more angular, like we see here, that doesn't say Charlayan to me, but I could be wrong.
It just doesn't. It didn't scream Amarot to me either, though. Like the moon base did.
You might be right. See, what this reminds me of very specifically are the what's that dungeon, the educational area of. Oh,
there's animals in that room, by the way. Those are all cages. I don't know if you noticed that. And there's straw on the ground and stuff.
Yep, I did notice that. Which is another
So what was the place with the circus music?
That was the Underground
Labyrinthos.
Yeah,
which
we think is Charlene connected.
Right. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I definitely think you're right, though. That is a cage, and that does look like birds' nests and hatched eggs that are in there. It
may just be new. It may just not have a basis. Unlikely, but
if it was new, I don't know that this would strike me as so familiar. Like this very much feels like a dungeon that I've been through before.
Right.
And especially these sort of like accents, these sort of like they almost look like wrought iron accents above the door and around the windows. Those, I do think we have seen those in Amarot, although
I'm going to look for that later now.
Yeah, I could be wrong, so feel free to correct me. Again, the lines are open if you want to join us here on the show. !Discord in the chat will get you the link to the Limit Break Radio Discord. All you got to do once you jump in there is to head on over to the LBR Calls chat channel, and then you can hang out in the on hold, and we'll grab you when we're ready. I see that we have someone on hold at the moment. We'll get to them in just a second. But yeah, I definitely think that there's going to be a lot of really interesting tie-ins to what we saw in Shadowbringers. I mean, there has to be, right? It can't be. Right. It can't be just a thing that exists unto itself. So.
One thing before we get a caller related to the story and the zones.
Yes.
I what do you guys think? I just want to know your thoughts. They split us in the beginning of Shadowbringers. I thought it was kind of cool into going towards was it Alfino or Alizé, and like they kind of let us choose the beginning of the story. Do you think they'll do that again? Like let us go to A zone or B zone to start it off?
I mean, I like that. I like that idea, of it seems it's a very small and arbitrary choice, but giving you some, some degree of choice.
Yeah, I mean, from a gameplay perspective, it does help on launch week because not everyone crowds into the same exact location.
Oh, you know what? That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's why a lot of MMOs design their expansions to have like a choice and not funnel into a single location because, bad times.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it like sort of branches out and then ends up coming back in.
Exactly. And by then, everyone's kind of the rush is over. So it's all evened out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they can tell their more detailed story, too, because the story as it ramps up has to become more detailed. But it's easier to keep it kind of open in the beginning.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. We've got a sort of a lot to sort of digest there when it comes to the next expansion. Just the last couple of things to go over as a part of the presentation. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but Loporrits, the new Beastman tribe, moon rabbits, which is, I guess that's a very sort of like Japanese, like fable sort of
Middle
thing.
Middle Eastern as well.
Middle
actually.
Eastern. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
It's both.
Yeah, I know that Japan builds into it a lot because we, in the West, we say there's a man in the moon, but they say there's a bunny in the moon. And I know that's another reason why Sailor Moon's Japanese name is Usagi, which means rabbit, and she's from the moon. So it's another thing.
I didn't know that.
It's always been like a thing.
I think the story of Princess Kaguya in Japanese is also about, it represents her as a rabbit sometimes because she was from the moon. And that's a big Japanese myth.
So ostensibly, we think that these are going to be the one of the new beast tribes, obviously to go along with the sort of elephant-looking guys that I assume will be down in Thavnir. That we heard about in the previous presentation. Really interesting, though, that everyone jumped on the fact that this looks like Naming Way. And they automatically assumed, oh, it's Naming Ways. We're getting Naming Ways. And then it was like, oh, it's a Loporrit. I think.
Yeah, my gut instinct was that they were like the evilly Smoogles, kind of, without the palm.
I could see that. But pretty much they are taking the design for Naming Way from, what was that, Final Fantasy IX? Is that where,
I think so.
where Naming Way was really prominent? And 4 and 9.
4 and 9.
4 and 9.
Well, 4 makes sense.
Yeah, and so it makes sense.
Yeah,
I just Googled it. Yeah, so since we're doing FF4 stuff on the moon, it makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. So I think that's gonna be all right. Let me tell you, I am so much more okay with the idea of like a cute bunny beast tribe on the moon than I ever was with any of those fucking Namazu. I hate those things with a mad fucking passion. Every time I see one, I get violently angry and I want to kick it. I hate it.
I thought I was irritated by the Moogles, and then I met the Namazu.
Right? Thank you.
My whole world.
Thank you. The absolutely insufferable beast tribe. Hate them.
Yeah. It's really bad.
We also find out that we're going to be getting an Oceanic data center.
Hell yeah for the Aussies. Hell
Yes. Oh my! Finally.
So needed. I think that's great, man. We're also going to be getting cross data center travel, which is, I think, just another move towards, just being completely shardless. You sort of connect to the overworld that you get the best ping out of, and then when you want to go do events, it's really kind of open to whichever server. I definitely think that this is a big deal and
well overdue,
and will bring no shortage of new players. Because Oceanic is one of those hugely rapidly expanding regions when it comes to esports. So you got to think that there's a huge gameplay and market that exists down there. That if they had a bad experience the first couple of times that they played 14, that this should really open up the possibility of really being able to do some of those more end game events a little bit easier and not having these big ping and latency problems.
Yeah, I mean, it should literally cut their latency in more than half. Like, it should be well under half of what it was now.
Yeah. We also found out we are getting male Vieira.
Absolute mad lads.
About
really?
Nika. No one had made them before.
Really?
Exactly. Like, there's never been male VR in the Final Fantasy universe, right? And it was well overdue. What?
I mean, I feel like
they look better than male Makote do.
Take that back.
What? They do.
The Catboys are going to be upset. Stop.
Yeah, we're gonna get boycotted
canceled
by we're gonna get boycotted by all the male cat boys. It's not gonna be good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nika. Thank you, Nika.
That being said, bunny boys are exciting. Happy to see them.
And they did say that they will be bringing female Hrothgar. Please look forward to it.
No one cares.
Why did every male bunny look? Thank you, Judge. Why did every male bunny look like they were trying to sell me like Tommy Hilfiger jeans or Abercrombie and Fitch? Like they
all have that look. Like
they all look. Yeah, they all look like I'm
like they could be on an Abercrombie ad on the like you walk through the big shopping mall and they're just like on the big huge wall-sized poster.
Yeah, like come here and just check out my abs.
Want to try on some jeans?
Right. Yeah. What the fuck? Like, did they have to make them that ridiculously attractive? My God.
They had to compete with the male Makote, I guess, somehow. I guess that was their out. I don't know.
Show me an ugly male Makote. Show me an ugly male Makote model.
I'm sure we could figure something out.
Wait,
they did that. It's called Hrothgar.
Oh! That's true.
I gotta wonder. There's two ways they could go with the female Hrothgar. They could like make them real butch and like
what
the male
your
ones.
obsession with butch females? I have to know.
No, there's no. Like there's a difference between butch and like muscular. Okay, so like they could go like the femoral route where they actually end up being like tall and beautiful and like the opposite of what the Hrothgar are, or they could be like ugly and like female troll type of thing.
Female troll.
Like not in 14, but like in like lore and like trying to think of like other lores where there's like dwarves or trolls that are female.
Like how dwarf women have beards.
Yeah, like that. So they could go like that direction with the Hrothgar and make them like look like the male ones, but like slightly more feminine. Or they could go like and make them like sleek and slender and like pretty cats.
Yes.
Eps in the chat saying we have Fat Makote now. Fat Vieira win.
Oh God.
See, until we get Fat Vieira as a playable race, I can't in good conscience play one.
The tech's just not there yet.
I don't see.
That would be Yoshi-P's line. Tech's just not there yet.
We just need a belly slider.
Ramos says they're probably going to make female Hrothgar look like Tigra.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe.
I could see that. Like
that. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like go like an opposite direction to make them more like.
Wait, Lloyd, Lalafels are already round. What are you talking about? He wants round Lalafels.
I want perfectly round Lalafels.
Oh, not like potatoes. You want like a sphere.
Yeah, like I want to kick them and then all of their forward momentum. Like if they're down a hill, they have to go down all the. There's no way to stop.
If they bounce, I'm down.
We could create
like
new sports.
Basketball.
Oh my God! Instead of blitzball, it's literally like fat Lalafell that you kick around.
There you go.
This sounds like abuse.
No, Nika, no.
Yeah, let's go with it's not.
They're
Maybe
volunteers.
this is what they do in that underground area, Charlene, when they put them down in jail, and instead of just jailing them, they turn them into the balls.
The Lalafell get 3 meals a day. They're volunteers. It's fine. They like it.
All right, let's go to our phone lines. That by the way, covers most of what they announced at the opening ceremonies for the FF14 FanFest. We did. They also, they have a bunch of swag that they have to sell or try to sell. The only one that really caught my eye, the LP soundtrack. Oh
yeah,
that looks so cool.
Is it all vinyl, or do they have any that are disc?
I mean, I think the point of it was that it's vinyl, and that's never been done before.
Yeah, pretty sure they already have the Blu-rays, Nika, already of those albums, and these are just re-releases on vinyl.
Gotcha.
At least that was my impression.
God, I'm such a vinyl nerd. I want one of those box sets really bad.
You were saying you were disappointed it's all one color, though, right?
Yeah, as a vinyl nerd, I have a lot of limited edition color copies and stuff like that. They could have done, and the thing is that colored vinyl has gotten really cool and unique and pretty intricate in the last couple of years. They could have really done a very cool limited set where each soundtrack was a unique color. I would have easily paid, $50 more for that on top of the price that they already have. But yeah, I think that this is really cool. I can't name very many video game soundtracks full stop that have been pressed on vinyl. I think this is a new frontier. But I think that this is really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's really different.
Geis in the chat saying they could have used the meteor around the vinyl. God damn it.
Oh my God, they could have.
You're saying cool shit now that I wish that they had done. All right, let's go to our phone lines. We got Crimson Tinted hanging on. What's going on, Crimson? Welcome to Limit Break Radio.
Good to be on, and good to hear you all putting your perspective out there again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. What do you want to talk about today?
Okay, so my question involves a little bit of setup, and I'll try and keep it as pithy as I can here.
All right.
Years back, if you recall, there was the live letter question response from Yoshi-P about the nature of recurring content, and the answer was given. I don't expect people to play all the time. I expect people to be able to step away that whole bit, if you recall that.
Yeah.
So I remember y'all being and a lot of people being very critical of that response, with a lot of the criticism surrounding around it sort of being an excuse not to try harder and do better with recurring systems, right? In light of, Shadowbringers being what it was and having brought y'all back, in light of the Endwalker announcements here, I'm curious if y'all have given any thought to that past remark, and if you view that stance that Yoshi-P put out there a little more favorably as time has moved on, or do you think it's still sort of an excuse not to try harder to have recurring content stick?
I think, and I still stand by it, that answer is a non-answer, because what you're being pressed about is your content schedule and how satisfying the content is when someone completes it. And I think what is frustrating about that response is that it really just doesn't fundamentally address the problem. And really it is very dismissive of people who want, out of the MMO that they're investing month over month in, that that they have some reasonable expectation of being able to play this game on a regular basis and feel like they're being rewarded for it. My biggest criticism of Final Fantasy XIV has always been that the gear treadmill and the constant moving of the goalposts is maybe the most frustrating and disheartening thing about Final Fantasy XIV. And I'm glad that you've asked, because what I did was I went and I fucked off. I played other games for 2 years before I came back, and I played Shadowbringers. And while I thought Shadowbringers was fun, and I was very impressed by the storyline, and I liked what I played, I immediately finished the story content and then logged off and basically didn't log back in again. And if that is what Yoshi-P wants from his MMO community, then I guess that's fine. That's his choice. But I think what I was concerned about at the time, what I'm concerned about now, and what I'm concerned about moving forward is that once all of the hype dies down from all of these disaffected WoW players being pissed off with their last expansion and coming over here and going, this is pretty good. When that wears off after their first expansion cycle and they see, it's just the same treadmill this next expansion, is that really long-term community development? Is that really long-term game development? Is that really serving the people who will stick with this game the longest? I'd like to think that, doing a podcast and running a community around FF14 would have been enough incentive for me to want to stay tuned in. But even I needed 2 years where I needed to go fuck off and play other video games. I don't know that that is true of other MMOs, because my reason for quitting other MMOs have been vastly different at the time than I feel like I got everything out of it once I cleared all of the story content. I do very much still feel that way. I am very much playing Final Fantasy XIV and Shadowbringers in that fashion, and I don't see anything that was announced throughout FanFest that would make me change that for the foreseeable future. This is just simply not a game that I have a desire to spend a whole lot of time with once I have cleared all of the relevant story content. But I will say that Bezosia kept me logging in quite regularly and kept me playing quite a bit. So I think that they've got something there, right? Like, I think that that system is pretty decent, that there's something pretty good about that. How they could implement that moving forward, I don't know. But I still remain critical of the ongoing gear treadmill. And I don't know that I've ever seen Yoshi-P meaningfully address that criticism.
Right, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, as for my thoughts, I feel a little bit differently about that comment. Not too much. I mean, I still agree with Nero in that it is a non-answer. I think that's an answer he gave due to the size of his dev team and kind of wanting to be a bit of a cop-out for, the amount of content his team could push out. But I also think that given how other modern MMOs work, it's expected. I mean, most of them work this way. I just think it was poor phrasing on his part to make it sound like, oh yeah, but there's nothing for you to do if you do keep playing. Like, I just think he could have phrased that better. But I think at the time I was extra pissed off because, it sounded like he wasn't trying. Nowadays, I do think he is trying, but I have a criticism not about the fact that there is a gear treadmill, but about the fact of how that team has chosen to implement the treadmill and the content that powers the treadmill. And I really, really wish they would. And I don't know whether this means changing the way they manage their team or expanding their team, but I really, really wish that they would expand the content, including the types of content, and be confident enough to take content like Bozja and implement it with the main progression systems, not as a standalone, and use these things as opportunities to give people a reason to keep playing throughout a cycle, so that the majority of the player base would keep playing here and there during a patch cycle and wouldn't just fuck off after a month and not come back for 3 or 4 months. And I still think that's the game's greatest weakness. And but I don't think his comments spoke to that as much as he was just explaining the cyclical nature of how these games tend to work for the majority of players. And I hope that he's kind of seen that, but who's to say?
Nika, do you have anything to add?
Not anything that you guys haven't already said. I agree. I don't have anything groundbreaking to say.
Crimson, what was your take on that comment?
I mean, I'm mostly in agreement about it more being a poor phrasing from Yoshi-P than him trying to establish a sort of unique excuse for the lack of recurring content, and I would largely concur with I guess I concur. I understand. I have empathy and I understand the play cycle of people who just show up at the patches a lot more now than I did years ago, which makes me sad in the sense, but I understand it, right? Because for 95% of people, what does it matter? What does the treadmill matter? You catch up in 2 seconds, you get done what you need to get done, you go now, right? Like, it's just the way of it.
Yeah, I mean, I view the treadmill as, and I've said this before, I view it as just like seasons, right? In any other online game, where, you know, if you have the time and you want to compete in a season, you do so, and it's fun, and you get some achievements and stuff out of it that showed how good you did during that time frame, and then you move on. And if you're around for another season, great, you keep playing, and if not, you drop off, you come back later. And you know, there's definitely some criticisms to designing a game entirely around a seasonal model, but you know, I do think it works sometimes. But I don't think it's working for 14. I want to be clear. I think
it was working for ARR at Heavensward, and then it started.
But I think it worked for AR and Heavensward because people had hope that the content would continue to grow in that fashion and not stagnate.
Yeah, exactly. That is correct. And I will complain about that all day.
Right. So, and then that just brings me back to my original point. It's not the fact that there is a gear treadmill. It's how this development team has chosen to implement the treadmill. There's a right and a wrong way to do the carrot on a stick method. And I think this method, right or wrong, has stagnated and it needs to go.
Well, and I think there's also, you know, the very, the very real factor of looking at how people are getting receiving the content that they're given, and how many people are actually active in it. If Square Enix is seeing, participation drop off in older content, and that's not a problem for them, then they've decided that, you know, all of the work that they put into what came before what is currently, you know, right now the piece of content to do, then I guess that's fine. The sad thing is that the player base recognizes that that's not as much as we used to get. And those of us that have been, playing this game for a really long time go, oh, there's only one dungeon this patch cycle. Guess I'm going to be, running one of two dungeons, while that does get annoying, I think I'm at the point where I've just sort of set my expectation to be like, okay, that's what this game is willing to deliver. And if that's the case, then that's fine. But the way that I'm going to choose to play it is to either wait until we're deeper into the expansion cycle to resub and then play everything in one fell swoop. And, but again, when you think of this in business terms, that doesn't seem to be the best way to develop an MMO. However, if the data that Square Enix is seeing is showing that we're retaining a lot more people through having them collect mounts and triple triad cards and, orchestrion roles, then we're confident that we could do with things like gear or progression, then maybe that's just the route that they've chosen. And, while that's not what I would choose, something's working because, it does seem like this game only got more popular through Shadowbringer's life cycle.
Yeah, and I do think that there is something to be said for the disconnect when they look at metrics, because you were kind of alluding to it, when they look at metrics and the way they make a decision off that metric. So, for example, with the dungeon example, I think this is the perfect example, to be honest. That we keep getting less and less dungeons because they've decided, these aren't as exciting to people. They'd rather be doing other content, so we should put our resources to making other content. But the problem is they didn't go, this isn't exciting. How can we make it exciting? They just opted to do less of it.
Right.
And I think that means their polls, at least at the time when they were making those decisions, wasn't really on the mark. At least definitely not to the Western audience. I can't speak for their Japanese players. Maybe they felt differently, but definitely felt like they had the right metric and the wrong response there.
But what's still very unique about this, and Khaled kind of mentions this, is that Eureka and Bazoja have both been good changes to the game. We know that sometimes developers, especially in an online environment, will try and experiment and put it into a sealed off portion of the game. I think Blue Mage is a really good example of that. They didn't know what something like Blue Mage would do to the balance of jobs, and so they made it its own thing. I sort of see Eureka and Bazosia in the same way, and Bazosia as a sort of like 2.0 of what Eureka originally was. And that sort of makes you wonder, is there any way to take some of the lessons that they've learned through Bazosia and Eureka and apply them more meaningfully to the core game or to the core overworld experience to be able to bring out some of those some of those aspects of older MMOs that we miss.
Right. And honestly, even if they decide to keep the gear treadmill, the experiments they're doing with Bosja and simpler content, all they have to do is link that into a progression path.
True.
Like the same progression path that raiding, for example, has, and it can be slower if you go through the more casual content. It can take longer. You know what I mean? Or whatever, however they want to do it. It doesn't have to. You can still let raiders have their advantage or whatever. But they need to find a way to unify these systems, and they just seem so scared every time they experiment. They isolate the progression system, whether it was Palace of the Dead, Eureka, Bosja. I'm just waiting for them to come out with a fun system like those and decide, you know what? In some small way, yes, we will give you player power. That's all I want, player power.
Yeah, I think that is very accurate. And, I think that there's also the albatross of balance that hangs over the dev's neck all the time. Everything must be in balance all the time.
And homogenization. That's where it's going.
I don't know if it has to do with the way that they QA content or, the way that they think content will be accepted by the audience. But there's this very real aspect of online games, MMOs, and that is if you are willing to put in more time or effort or money, and by money I mean in-game money, not real money. But if you're willing to make a large investment in this game, that you will then have a big long-term power advantage over everyone else. And that doesn't exist in any way, shape, or form in FF14. And I feel like that's one of the big things that, and I've talked about this a lot throughout Limit Break Radio's lifetime, that really holds the appeal factor of Final Fantasy XIV back from me. Because, what's the fundamental reason we play MMOs? At least a part of it is to show off to other people. I look at all of this cool shit that I have that you don't. I think that is a huge part, a huge fundamental force in MMOs. Yeah. That is really kind of being cast aside by FF14.
I will say I do get that feeling when I see people with like the weapons from what are those fights? The ultimate. Yeah, the ultimate fight.
The problem is that I've never felt that getting one of those weapons. When I was grinding in ARR for raid shit, for Binding Coil of Bahamut shit, or when I was trying to keep current on relic weapons, I never felt that boost, that power boost, against other players, right? Like it was like a slight, you're able to out DPS them, and if you have a parser, you could probably see that, but I never really felt like, oh man, this is like when someone showed up in Final Fantasy XI, when someone showed up with a fucking apocalypse, it changed the entire fight.
The entire party.
I think that speaks though to an issue with, again, how they do balance. Like I would in other MMOs I've played that do the cyclical nature, there's a certain level of power boost you get when you get new gear, right? But in 14, nothing seems to scale fast enough to make it feel like it was meaningful, and I think that adds to the issue. Again, I think it's not that it's bad that it's a treadmill; it's that the treadmill is implemented like shit.
It's a very small treadmill.
Too tiny. Way too tiny.
Because when you really think about it, you have one of three choices in terms of relevant eye level gear that you can use.
Yeah, and not only that, each choice is too small of an incremental upgrade.
Yes.
If there was either more difficulties, which again can get crazy, speaking from examples in other games,
true,
or if you just had a slightly bigger eye level gap between the difficulties, you eventually you can hit a sweet spot where gear scales. That being said, then you run into the problem of their secondary stats still scale like shit. So even if you add a little more, it's not quite enough. They'd have to revamp the way crit and skill speed, spell speed work. But again, these systems are not new. You can implement similar systems to make scaling feel meaningful. I should feel very different when I am a fresh level cap character versus when I've killed the final boss of a raid. I should feel a power increase. And right now, even with a parser, not that I would ever use that, even with a parser, like it is moderate. It is not as high as I would expect. It actually takes, in my opinion, most of the expansion before the beginning and the end, you actually have that meaningful power boost.
Yes.
And that's just, I think they're just terrified of scaling too high. I'm actually surprised they feel the need for a level squish next expansion when their increments don't look that big.
I agree. I completely agree. There's not enough of a power differential between someone who raids and someone who bought their fucking gear on the auction house.
Right. You want someone to raid to feel power? Fine.
Yes.
And stop being pussies and like actually give them the power.
But then, but then that creates two different classes of players, and then those raiders might lord it over those regular plebeians.
Fuck the pores. It's fine.
I remember actually feeling a difference back in ARR when doing the original relic quest, where you had to do Chimera and like all in like what was it, Aethrite, Titan, and Garuda over and over again to get all the relics. I remember like Titan was so hard back then that if someone came in to help you who already had their relic, it was a game changer.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have not felt that again since then.
I think that's because the item level scaling was different in the beginning. I think it slowed down in Heavensward. I'd have to go back and check the numbers. And also, Ramos in the chat's mentioning the stat squish is an integer issue, not a power issue. If they still need the squish, that's fine. Obviously, it's for computing resources more than anything else. I'm just surprised because other games that have done this squish, their numbers got real crazy before they felt the need to squish. Square's just being extra conservative.
Right. And what we're talking about is not the fundamental number calculations in and of themselves. We're talking about relative power between either gear sets or weapons. So I feel like, it is a comparative example. And yes, I will admit that this is completely anecdotal. It's all by feel. This isn't necessarily based in actual statistics or numbers, but you really don't ever feel like you have enough of a significant leg up on the rest of the people, the lumpen proletariat that you can experience in Duty Finder to really have any of that raid shit or relic shit make a difference in the end. What I think the biggest difference is do you like the way that it looks and do you want to use it as your glamour? As sad as that fucking is, like, I feel like that's really the only reason that anyone would, at this point, be really driven for raiding. I don't know.
I find that the two classes of player argument that you're citing there only really holds as a potential thing to fear if there's enough content that the so-called upper class you make, you have some kind of fear that they're going to like ruin it for the so-called lower class or different class players, right? And I just don't think there's enough,
whether it be through like gatekeeping or I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah,
like there's not some massive problem of Ultimate Raiders stepping back and ruining normal, raids for 2 expansions ago and everybody. That's not a thing that's happening. So I just don't know what they're afraid of.
Yeah, it's strange. And again, like if you want numbers, if anyone here is really looking for hard numbers, I'll tell you this right now. Starting the content with a 2.5 second GCD for a melee ability and ending with 2.38 is not enough. It should be 1.5 by the end. It should be like a full second reduction.
That's a really, really great point. Crimson, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Take care.
All right, so if you want to give the show a call, ! Discord in the chat. We'll get you the link to the Limit Break Radio Discord. Once you're there, make sure you hit up the channel LBR Calls, and Lloyd will be happy to send you along to us here on the show. We do have another caller hanging on the line. We'll get to them in just a second. But I wanted to talk about the way that the whole affair ended, the way that the whole FanFest always ends, and that's with concerts. We had the wonderful piano concert on the first day, which had that hilarious Lahi performance.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Soken really is a brilliant mad genius.
Did you guys see the remixes?
No, I haven't seen the remixes yet. Maybe we'll do a Limit Breaking Music and check out some of the remixes next time.
They're pretty wild.
Excellent, though. Seriously, though, that whole concert was phenomenal, and then we got the Primals performance the next night, which I was really happy to be able to watch. Normally, when we're at FanFest, the music performances are the things that I don't really typically get to indulge in, mostly because we're rushing to set up equipment to record as everyone is leaving. And it was really nice. They did a excellent job with the mixing and the presentation. The stage looked so cool. I didn't know that WWE was renting out LED boards to just like private companies, but like they had a whole Titantron behind them. It was so fucking cool. I really enjoyed the performance. What did you guys think?
Yeah, no, I thought it was awesome, but I think the end of the performance, the speeches, is what really struck.
Yeah, absolutely. Nika, what about you?
So I have not had time with my child to go back and watch the Primals concert.
Go and watch it with your child, Nika.
I know.
Can we kick her out? Can we just kick her out of here?
Boo!
What?
Can we get some booze in the chat?
You know what? I removed the booze. I removed the booze from the sound effects that you can trigger.
Can we get it discussed? That's
You
enough,
disgust me.
There we go.
Jesus, did you even try?
There we go. We got a few.
It is definitely on my list of things to do during the day tomorrow.
You're some kind of moron, you know that?
But not.
I did watch the ending though.
But not before the show.
No, I didn't have time, man. My life is crazy.
Okay, all right. Well, seriously, amazing performances, and
sloppy.
Soken showing off the guitar as well. Their crossover with Fender.
That's pretty cool,
dude. It's like they made it for Husky by the Geek, right? Like,
did you hear what he's doing? By the way,
yeah, I did see that he hit his 500 per video on Patreon, and that he's going to be pre-ordering one.
That's so cool.
It is really cool. I'm excited to see Husky by the Geek with the FF14 official Fender Stratocaster, and it even has a limit break button.
Dude, every video he does now for FF14 better have that Fender in it.
Goddamn right, and he better be hitting that limit break button and fucking going hard.
Hell yeah!
I love it. I thought
you gonna actually level your bard, play the Fender in the game too.
No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I thought that was cool though, that they're doing it in-game promotion with the actual guitar as well. I thought that was pretty neat, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that is pretty cool. You can be an Eorzean rock star now. But yeah, got to talk about the revelation at the end of FanFest that Soken had been composing for Shadowbringers while in a hospital bed in the middle of a fucking pandemic while he was fighting cancer, and that they didn't tell the development team. I legitimately got the idea that the very first time that some of the people on stage had heard that information was right then. Like,
there's no way it wasn't.
Everyone except for Yoshi had not heard that before until right then.
Yeah, like you can just see it on their faces. They're like freaked out.
Like that's how Yoshi turned around because he knew he was going to cry.
Well, because he asked Yoshi not to tell them.
No, I know that. But like, you're in the middle of this huge presentation. Like, someone couldn't have just pulled them aside and been like, "Listen, heads up, this is what we're going to talk about." And you know what I mean? Like, I would have felt so fucking blindsided. And with Yoshi bawling on stage, I would have lost it.
Hey, I lost it.
I did lose it.
Watching it.
Holy shit!
My mom was here and she's looking at me. She's like, "Are you crying?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Dude, I woke up to that video because I didn't see the concert the night before. I didn't stay up, so I woke up and I was watching it and I saw that and I just started like bawling. And my girlfriend's just like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "He's soaking."
Video games can
I was already crying just listening to him, and then once Yoshi turned around and he was sobbing, I lost it.
That's when I lost it too. When I saw Yoshida crying, it was like, oh no.
Yeah. Not ashamed to mention that.
But like, what a beast is Soken.
What dedication!
Right?
Do you know I follow a bunch of game developers on Twitter. So many people heard about this and were like, everyone sending him amazing like love and admiration, saying that's what it truly means to care about your players and all this other stuff. It was amazing to see. Like it blew up so much.
I just can't imagine. Like, the one woman was like, "We were here sending you like, oh, can you just trim off 1 second here to like make it fit better with the cutscene?" Well, he's in the fucking hospital.
Yeah, he's just shrugging at it like, that's like, whatever. Yeah.
But like that quote that I think Yoshi said it, that Soken told Yoshi, like, "No, I want to keep working because if I don't have anything to do, I have nothing to live for." And I just like I just lost it.
Yeah. Yoshi's story about how like Soken was the first one when he took over the team to be like, "Yeah, guys, we can do it," and how he considers him his best friend. That was that was heavy.
It was very emotional.
Very emotional. And yeah.
God, was that that can't be the first time Koji?
They had to have told Koji, right? Because
Koji prepares some of his notes. There's no way they wouldn't tell Koji. I guess I don't know, man.
I feel like he would have been breaking up a bit more when he talked.
How could you? I mean, listen, if that was the first time that Koji had heard that, like he deserves more kudos. There is no way. If I had been in that situation, because I can kind of control, like I know when I'm gonna break, right? Like when you can hear when my voice is starting to quaver, right? And you could kind of hear it but he didn't crack the entire time. He had to have known.
Yeah, I don't see how he could have otherwise.
Man, though, but
it's possible that they didn't tell him until they were preparing the FanFest notes, though.
Either way, he had to be prepped at some level.
Yeah.
I have no idea, man. But here's the thing: all credit and props go out to Soken. He is a
smile better suits a hero.
I don't know if that drop was necessarily appropriate there, Zero, but I'm going to let you do it. He is a beloved member of this dev team, and I would say, FF14 would be so much different, such a different product without him. The way that he has spearheaded the unique compositions that we've gotten with, things like the primal fights. That's not music that you normally hear in video games. Not until he made it normal. So,
and I fully expected him when he first said I was in the hospital with cancer. I was waiting for him to say, "And I'm getting really sick and I'm stepping down."
Oh,
and I am so happy that is not the direction that went.
Yeah,
I would have not been okay.
Yeah, that was. If you didn't know going in, that was really hard to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? I have a very, very real criticism of that concert and even the moments that had come afterwards. And I mentioned this on Twitter, and I got a little bit of already some pushback, and how can anyone find any fault in this? And here's the thing. All right, I'm a performer. I used to have a band. I've performed on stage many, many times. I've also recorded bands many, many times. I'm intimately familiar with live production, okay? Soken deserved a live audience. Straight up. That performance was so good and so heartfelt that when they cut to the smattering of Square Enix employees and production people in the crowd, it broke my heart. Like, I would have given almost any amount of money to be there in that moment. You know, whether it was, you know, the amazing Shadowbringers performances with Brad. I honestly cannot remember his name. The vocalist who was on screen at the time. There were so many unique, cool things that you know, that performance was just so fucking special, and it kills me. Absolutely kills me that the concert specifically wasn't in front of a live audience. After everything that Soken has been through, he deserves that, right? Like, I think that we can all agree that, you know, if you have been battling cancer in the middle of a fucking pandemic, that it's a bit of a hollow victory to go and play to an empty concert hall. I mean, I'm sure that he appreciated all of the comments and everyone watching at home, but he deserved an audience. He deserved a live crowd. And so I want to take this minute to implore absolutely every last one of you motherfuckers that's listening to the sound of my voice right now. Go get a goddamn vaccine.
Woo!
By this time next year, I want a makeup fan festival that, you know, just like, hey, we're going to do a mini one, and there's not going to be a ton of game announcements, but we're going to give the Primals a performance that they deserved. And the only way that happens, the only possible way that happens, is if we all do what we need to do and get the fucking vaccine. Quit putting it off. I don't want to hear excuses. Oh, but it might have 5G. Bill Gates might track where I go. I don't want to hear any of that bullshit. I don't want to hear any of that. If you want to see the Primals, and I know you fucking do, and if you want to show Soken the respect that man deserves, go get the fucking shot. Get it done so that we can all get past this. And by this time next year or within 2 years, we can all get back to enjoying Soken's music the way that it deserves to be enjoyed. And that's all in person, blasting at a bajillion decibels straight into our faces.
Agreed.
Hell yeah.
The only other small criticism I have is that there was an online presence for people who were watching the performance. They set it up beforehand. Like, they showed some shots of it and they gave some rules for, you know, how you can participate. Instead of showing the empty seats over and over again, I wish some of those cutaway shots had been to that room full of people who were jumping and using the glow sticks and cheering and stuff like that. Denmo had a wonderful video that sort of showcased all of that, and I would have loved it if they had tried to incorporate that a little bit more meaningfully into the presentation, but that is a small complaint, I will grant you. But seriously, go get your fucking shots, people. Yeah, anything to add about the concert?
I don't know if I can follow that.
No, you've said everything.
No, I'm just thinking, though, if our FanFest was supposed to be like November or something, was Soken still in the hospital then? Because he might not have even been there.
October.
So around that, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? He might not have even been there. I don't know.
Yeah, he may not have been NA if it had. But again, maybe he also would have been able to leave the hospital sooner if it wasn't COVID protocols.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
It's not about what if, right? Because this year's FanFest is what it is. It's about in the next year or 2 years, I don't want to be bunkering down because a new fucking strain of the coronavirus has suddenly ripped through our area of the world and shut down all of the fun live events that we all enjoy. Listen, I want to be able to see this concert with my own eyes and ears, and I know that you do too. I want to go back to planning after parties to be able to celebrate this game out at FanFest, and I know that you want to be there, and I can guarantee you that we're going to require a goddamn vaccination to get any goddamn after parties that we're going to be throwing. So, you know what? Go get your shit done. Do it now. Don't put it off. All right. Let's go back to our phone lines real quick. We have got Evil Lives hanging on. I want to make sure that I address him by his FF14 name, Anahu, from the Genova server. Let's go ahead. Anahu, welcome to Limit Break Radio. Hello.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. What's happening?
Nothing much, Nate.
So, what do you want to talk about?
So I did want to bring it up, the Mist of the Realm thing, and of course I got kind of the idea from Eshes, and I looked at my lore book. I think they're going to use it just to tie up all the Eorzea stuff that we have loose ends, Silver Tier, stuff like that.
Really? What makes you think that?
Because they said this, they said that this at the end of 6.0, everything's going to be concluded. The story of Eorzea, the Primals, and Zodiark. So there's still some big loose ends that we don't know yet.
I see that. I don't know that I totally believe that, because we've got Pandemonium, and we know that involves Ascians. We've got this, fight against the 12, and whatever that is. I'm not sure. I think that statement may be more in reference to the end of the main narrative, the Hydaelyn Zodiark. I didn't take that to necessarily mean that it was kind of all of these other ancillary things like Silver Tier.
Well, but also the name of it is the Mist of the Realm. It doesn't mention the 12, but are we saying the current 12 that they worshipped are Mists? So it's kind of strange wording for that.
I mean, it depends on your perspective, right? Gods can be myths to others.
True.
I mean, I think specifically it's the Sanctum of the 12 screenshot that kind of got everyone thinking about, are we fighting the 12 here? Which is fair. Although
I think they're going to be in it, yeah.
I mean, although that could reference just the setting. I don't know that it necessarily.
Oh no, I think it's going to be the 12, but I don't think the entire. I think it's all going to tie into the 12. Like all the unanswered mystery have is going to be told through that.
See, I don't know that I would. That might be really weird, because
if they do,
depends on how you tie it in. Because I have the theory that the 12 are just memories of the original convocation with missing or members or whatever, because it's probably a long time ago.
And keep in mind, they do have that technique that they used with the near raids, where on the patches where they don't have a raid, they still continue the story, and there's still some sort of something to figure out, some part of the mystery. So I mean, narratively at least, if they need to go for a longer tail, they have a little more time than just 3 raids.
Yeah, that I guess that's a really good point. I don't know how I would feel about a raid whose function seems to be tying up loose ends. That seems to be a very convenient way to tie up loose ends, because I mean, listen, it's all in how it's executed. I will grant you that. I just, the mystery of something like Silver Tier has loomed so large over the events of this entire game. It was the opening cutscene for 1.0. And I get that I'm one of 5 people who obsesses about this. But I just think that would be such a disappointing way to sort of approach winding up various mysteries. You know what I mean?
I'll give you that, yeah. Now that you mention it that way, it feels like it would be weird they would put in something that is optional content.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've been putting more and more core lore into the raids recently. Again, Evilist Raid was a kickoff for actually part of the Relic questline now with Bozja. The current 8-man raid, which you could call optional content, is huge in terms of lore implications.
True. I mean, it's just when they announced Pandemonium and said that you had the Ascian along with it, I took this more to be like it's going to tie in a little bit more like Binding Coil of Bahamut tied in. And the reason that I think that is because you had this same sort of content pattern where like 2.0 ended very clearly, and then you had in that sort of celebrational cutscene, it sort of steered us to where we were moving next, which was Binding Coil of Bahamut. And I sort of feel like if they're going to try to connect this Pandemonium raid meaningfully to the core lore, that you would almost have to do something like that, where it would be something like, roll credits and then we move on to the next thing, or how else would you satisfactorily introduce that into the storyline? Like what member of the Scions would be the one to kind of kick that off?
Yeah, I don't even know. Oh, or I mean, for the 12, probably Urianger.
Yeah, possibly. That would make Urianger would make a lot of sense.
Or even Grahatia. We see in the cutscene. I know he's looking up mysteries about the star.
True. Ahanu, was there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, that's good. I just also liked seeing you guys again.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about ways that we might be able to see more new episodes of Limit Break Radio in the future, but really appreciate the call here today. If you want to call Limit Break Radio, ! Discord in the chat gets that done, or, actually, that's really the only way to get it done. And Lloyd is standing by to send you into us here on the show. There was the producer live letter. I feel like we've been going for a pretty long time. But let's just try to barrel through this as fast as we can. We got patch 5.55 coming out May 25th. That's like way sooner than I was thinking.
They said they were actually going to do it this Tuesday.
What?
And they just, in the presentation, they said we were actually going to do this Tuesday, but we thought the team might be a little burnt out given all the events this weekend. I'm like, you absolute mad lads. Why would you? No, good call.
Yeah, that's insane. So a week from tomorrow, we'll get our hands on patch 5.55, and that will mark the
finale.
Yes, the finale of Shadowbringers. And
so wait, are we getting nothing story-wise between now and November?
We won't go over the schedule, but yes, correct.
Yeah.
Oof.
We're also going to be getting a brand new battlefield for Bazzoja called Zadnor. The final chapter of Save the Queen will be a part of this. As also, we will see the resistant rank cap increased from 15 to 25. New skirmishes and critical engagements will also be added, and we will see a large-scale raid be added as well. 48 players for that one. I think that's pretty exciting, especially if they, learn their lessons from the first one and they just throw this straight into the duty finder. I think that's a really smart way to kind of continue to do this.
And the other thing is, I think the smartest thing they've done with this content is cater to your audience a little bit, FF11 fans, and the resistance honors that they're adding, that kind of like post progression system. Right?
Yeah.
Because we don't know what the cap is yet. It seems very much inspired by merit points in similar systems.
I kind of got the same vibe from it as well. Let's talk about those resistance honors. It's unlocked upon reaching resistance rank 25. Sufficient metal can be used to acquire proofs of metal. The proofs of metal can be exchanged for 3 types of honors that increase attributes in Save the Queen areas. Son of Fortitude increases maximum HP. Son of Valor Valor increases damage dealt, and Son of Succor increases healing potency. And I have a sneaking suspicion that at least one of these on several members of your raid are probably going to be pretty critical for being able to beat that raid if the last kind of series of them was any indication. You needed some of those those metal upgrades to be able to progress in some of those fights. They're just that in some of them there wasn't enough DPS to be able to move them forward on release.
Yeah, they'll probably do it where you can enter without them, but it's going to just be that much harder.
Is there a cap on proofs? That is unknown at this time. And there's also going to be a means to increase mount speed. So you can get to those critical engagement areas faster. Skirmishes and critical engagements will be adjusted for fewer participants, which is natural as people start to filter out of these systems and into whatever 6.0 is going to be presenting us with. I think that's both smart and necessary. The availability of large-scale assaults will be adjusted. So hopefully that means throwing the Castrum raid into the duty finder and not having to flip to different instances to see if one is spawned. Why they connected it with the large scale encounter system is beyond me.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so confusing. Chances of being selected for duels will now increase upon non-selection.
That's huge, actually. That's huge. So the longer the time you spend in Bosja, the higher, and you don't get selected for a duel, the higher the chance you are selected for the next duel increases.
That's pretty smart. The Delirium Ragne Savage will be adjusted to allow between 24 and 48 participants, which I think it's got a strict participant number of 48 right now, right?
Correct. Yeah, I think what they're doing is since there's another Bosja raid coming out, they're just kind of allowing this one to be a little more accessible.
Yeah. So we've got some other FF14 events leading up to Endwalker. We've got in June, July, patch 5.57 and 5.58. Those will contain some small adjustments, such as permanent echo for Savage raids. In July, we've got the Make It Rain campaign if you want MGP. We've also, in August, got the Moonfire Fair and Rising events. September is the FF15 collaboration returning. So if you want the fucking car, I guess you can get the fucking car.
It's a pretty cool car.
It is not. It is not.
But it's a free four-seater.
It's dude's night out.
I hate all of you.
A free four-seater is worth it in this game.
I hate all of you.
It's so funny.
I hate it.
It's funny because it's so stupid. Come on.
Have
you ever jumped in the car?
Yes, it infuriates me every time I see it. It's so stupid.
No, the worst thing is that you don't turn the wheel. You look really
That's
stiff.
the worst thing? That's the worst thing.
Yes, that's the worst thing.
God damn it. That's horse shit.
Have you seen the Lalafell in it? It's so dumb.
No, I haven't seen the Lalafell in it.
It's so dumb.
What, can he not see over the dashboard?
Not really, no.
They didn't give him a fucking phone book to sit on? Jesus.
But then they can't reach the gas pedal.
Apparently not. And then November will... October is the potential time frame for implementing cross-data center traversal. And then in November, we will see Endwalker release. Which, to be honest, listen, November of this year, I think is a very reasonable release time frame for this expansion. I think the time we've spent waiting for patches feels longer than that does. So good on them for getting it out in a reasonable level. Although I guess
the way that they handled pre-orders was stupid and mean.
I'll be honest though, just in terms of time frame, you guys realize it's on track, right? There's usually a 6 month gap instead of a 3 to 4 month gap. They didn't push it back because of COVID. That's actually huge.
Yeah, no, and again, I think that's something to be commended. One of the things that I've heard, that is a big criticism of the way that Endwalker is being handled is the fact that there was some high-end endgame raid content, battle content that had to be pushed back in order to release Endwalker. And a lot of people seem to be taking that out on the Bunny Boys. Pointing at the extra work that went into the male Vieira as the reason that they didn't get their battle content. First of all, you fucking idiots, those are two completely separate teams that devise battle content and do graphical development work that is required to add an entire fucking playable race to the game. You goddamn idiots.
Also, he's made this very clear in his last 2 or 3 interviews. The reason it got delayed is because the resources he needed was he has a very, unfortunately, small set of players that can playtest the ultimate raids because of how hard they are. So the dev team doesn't have a huge amount of skilled players.
Sure.
Unlike other companies, they don't hire a team of end game raid testers, right? So he has to grab whoever he can, and he didn't have their availability for both 555 and Endwalker. He couldn't make that fit. That's why it's happening. So for anyone claiming an art asset or animation rigging has anything to do with that raid is what he said is mostly coded. It's literally testing and tuning phase.
Yeah. I think it's a sort of an unreasonable thing to get mad at. Listen, this is when you are dealing with something like a pandemic that can disrupt a development process as much as moving from working at an office to working at home can do. When you're in that sort of situation and you're trying to maintain a release schedule, you go into triage mode into what can you take time to develop and what is going to have to wait a little bit more time. And when the waiting is okay, maybe 2% of my total player base will end up going and challenging this piece of content versus the next fucking expansion. How is it reasonable to go, well, it definitely should have been that ultimate battle content?
I'm sure if Nika and I were still playing 14 actively right now, more than once or twice a month or week, whatever, I'm sure we would be upset that this ultimate fight wasn't being added. But I'm sure you agree, Nika, that in the grand scheme of things, it's worth the price. I don't understand the complaint.
Yeah, I don't either. So I just kind of wanted to address that before we wrap up here today, and that will take care of all of the announcements from the producer live letter, and subsequently all of the announcements from FanFest itself. So yeah, again, tons to go over, and so much here that is really exciting. I think that there's a lot in Endwalker that is really worth getting excited about. It's interesting because I don't think I had this much excitement going into Shadowbringers. And I don't know if it was still just the bad taste that was left in my mouth from Stormblood, or whether it's the fact that I actually understand the sequence of events that I'm seeing, and I'm not trying to figure out why is Minfilia younger and hanging out with Thancred in a building that I don't recognize. There was so much that was mystifying about the Shadowbringers trailer that we just... I
liked that, though.
It was very cool, but it also, I think it came at a really awkward time for me because it unmoored me from any sense of knowing what to expect, which is, in a way, I think is good, but for me, being as down as I was about Stormblood didn't do anything for me, right? At that point, I felt like, if there's a lore nugget that I could chew on, I'd be really interested in this. And you just didn't get that from the trailer presentation of Shadowbringers. Obviously, the content of Shadowbringers, very different story, right? It takes a minute to get there, but there is a payoff for everything you saw in that trailer and shit that had come way earlier in the storyline that all of us were still kind of scratching our heads about. So I think that yeah, my excitement level is much higher now for Endwalker because I understand the context of what's happening, because I, have the investment from Shadowbringers and coming off of a great expansion, and looking forward to what comes next. How about you guys?
Yeah, no, I'm really hyped, honestly. Like, Shadowbringers pulled me in because it was basically an isekai, a stuck in another world story, and I'm addicted to those. So
sure,
that was the hype for me. But now, coming out of that with everything we learned, like, I didn't think I was going to be hyped for Endwalker until I saw where they were going with it, and now I thought I'd be excited, but I didn't think I'd be like hyped, and now I'm fully hyped, especially after the recent trailer.
Nika, yeah, what about you?
I'm in a weird place just because of where I am in my life. So, like, I am definitely excited. I can't say that I'm, like, hype just because I don't know. Like, I don't know. I want to play.
Okay,
I'm just nervous that I'm not going to be able to play, and so I don't want to get my hopes up that this is going to be, like, some amazing expansion and then I don't get to play it very often, and that makes me sad. So I'm kind of, like, in this place where, like, and I, like, haven't been playing the game very much recently, so I'm kind of in this place where I'm, like, it's weird because, like, I still love the game so much, but then when I look at it, I'm like, I haven't played so much. I feel my love falling away, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm hoping that, like, this expansion will be so good that it'll pull me back.
Time management, Nika, you can do it.
Well, I know my plan. I plan to try raiding again when the
maybe that's your fucking problem, Nika. Maybe you don't have to jump into the goddamn deep end of the pool when you're.
No, but that's what I love about this game is raiding.
Maybe
we can go suffer through pugs together.
Oh.
Well, I definitely know my raid group is dying for me to come back, so
that would be an understatement.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. First of all, as children age, they tend to gain a little bit more autonomy. So, maybe not directly in the next year or two, but a little bit after that, you might start to have a little bit more free time.
When she hits, like, that prime gill farming age, that's really
exactly.
Well, I'm hoping, because I'm going back to work this fall, so I'm hoping, like, she'll be in school, she'll have an earlier bedtime, so she'll go to bed, I'll just go raid, it'll be all good.
Yeah, you won't have any homework to check over or anything. No.
No.
It's kindergarten. They don't have homework like that.
Look at your optimism. Look at that.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying because I really, really want to play this expansion because I am excited. The trailer got me excited. Even just a little amounts of the FanFest I got to watch got me excited. So, like, I really want to play, but I'm just like, just because I haven't been playing recently, it's hard for me to just be like, yeah. So, like, I'm trying to.
In all honesty, I get it. I have those moments as well, right? Like, I come in, I do the patch content, I'm always hype, and then a few weeks later, I go to play and I go, oh, I never bothered gearing up. Oh, crap.
What am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough to get back into the flow, right?
I can't.
So I'm hoping that a new go back.
Maybe that's what the three of us need to do. We need to find some time when the new expansion drops, see if we can get into that flow again.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't be opposed to that, and we can do it here on the stream too.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So before we get out of here, guys, there is one more thing that I did want to talk about. We talked about this a little bit last time, and that was the sort of future of the show. Where will the show end up? We've done 2 reunion episodes here to cover FanFest. And as I'm listening to the enthusiasm level, it sounds like there is some interest around playing Final Fantasy XIV and possibly making content for it again. So we talked about this the last time, and we talked about if we did a Patreon campaign, what would it look like? And I am here to tell you that the Patreon page has been updated officially. And we are prepared to open up the Patreon campaign for donations for us to ultimately revive Limit Break Radio with new Final Fantasy XIV content. Here's the thing. I don't think, with our personal lives and our interest level in the game, nor do I think that the content release structure of Final Fantasy XIV can support a weekly podcast. I just don't. Am I alone in that one? Like, I just one of the most challenging things that we did with Limit Break Radio was figure out how can we, nothing happened in this last week. How can we talk about this? How can we make this translate into a weekly podcast? So what we are proposing is the first several goals of funding would be what we would need to revive the Limit Break Radio podcast archive. So the podcast archive has been offline for probably about a year now. What happened was that the Limit Break Radio website was compromised. I don't know how somebody got in, but somebody got in and just wrecked up the place. And subsequently the website had to be taken down. And so we have the episodes still. That archive still exists. I'm kind of like a backup fanatic. I make backups of backups, okay? So I still have the entire Limit Break Radio archive. And so the Patreon campaign would first seek to reestablish the archive and the website. Both of those are going to take resources. Bandwidth is apparently not a limitless commodity, like I know that it is. But it in this day and age, without any net neutrality, it costs fucking money. So the good news is that we do still have a web hosting plan. The data that was on there is no longer on there. But that space is still available to us. LimitBreakRadio.com is still available to us. We still own that space. So, the first couple of funding goals are very, very small. They're very reasonable. I think the archive comes back at $60 a month. And then it becomes everything that we did for Final Fantasy XIV becomes publicly available again. But the deal is that we want to do the show, and the time commitment is the thing that is the biggest struggle. And obviously that's because we all are, at very different places in our lives. Compensation is a factor. Whoever hosts this show, I believe, needs to be compensated. And so, we are, and it stands to mention, when we did this Patreon campaign the first time, we had so much more momentum. The show had been produced for a year. We had, we had already found a really good groove. We're coming from an almost stopped position to try to revive this. So if you go to patreon.com/limitbreakradio right now, you won't see anything. And that's because when I looked at the account, I realized that we still had about, 50 people that were technically still subscribed. And about $400 coming in a month if we were to turn this back live, if we were to re-engage the campaign. So what I want to share with you right now is that if you were a Patreon to Limit Break Radio, if you were a patron, you may want to go back and reevaluate what you are signed up to give. Because what I don't want is I don't want to hit launch and then get a whole bunch of people going like, hey, my credit card got dinged and I don't know why. Okay? So that is why the next episode of Limit Break Radio, and oh yeah, there is a next episode of Limit Break Radio. That's why the next episode of Limit Break Radio, we will formally launch the Patreon campaign to revive Limit Break Radio. And the reason is I want to give everyone the opportunity to reevaluate their commitment, their financial commitment to Limit Break Radio, to sunset if that is indeed what you want to do, cancel those payments. I'm just unsure of what happens when I hit launch. And I want to make sure that I tried to get it out there. Like, listen, if you were signed up and you don't want to be charged for this, make sure that you check your Patreon account and, reevaluate. I'm not entirely sure how Patreon works. There has been a lot of changes in the 2-3 years since we originally set up the account. So, that is a thing that is going to happen. So the other idea, and so I can see some people out there going like, yeah, okay, I like Limit Break Radio, and you said last time it's got to change, and I accept that, but once a month, I don't know that I want to pay for something that's once a month. I want it to be more frequent if I'm going to be forking over money, and that's fair. I think that's a fair expectation to have. So what we're going to do is that once that funding has reached another goal point, I'm not going to get specific with dollars and cents here, but once we've moved past bringing Limit Break Radio back on a monthly basis, the next funding goal would be unlocking Limit Break Radio for Final Fantasy XI. So we would be producing the Final Fantasy XIV show and the Final Fantasy XI show in tandem. Now, has to be said, I might be able to convince Strife and Nika to play Final Fantasy XIV often enough to come up with an opinion for a show once a month. I don't know that for sure yet. I might be able to convince them. I don't know if there's enough money that I have on Earth to be able to convince Nika to start playing Final Fantasy XI again.
Nope.
Which means that the hosts between the Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy XI versions of Limit Break Radio would have to be different, okay? That wouldn't necessarily change the price tag associated with funding the show, but it would mean that there would be different hosts between the different products. I think that that's fine. So let's say that we get to the monthly Final Fantasy XI show. Okay, we're producing Limit Break Radio once a month. We're producing the Limit Break Radio for Final Fantasy XI once a month. That's a new episode once every 2 weeks. If we get to the next thing, if we get to the next funding goal, guess what? Let's Be Real becomes a motherfucking thing. I will produce another talk show, and we will actually see the Let's Be Real podcast come to fruition. Okay, that's what we're working towards. And the funding goals, by the way, I will mention to you, the funding goals are all inside the margins that we were able to get within the first Limit Break Radio Patreon campaign. Obviously a different campaign, but we are not asking for more money to be able to produce these shows. In fact, it's within this, like I said, it's within the exact same funding margin. I mean, at one point, we were getting $2,200 a month off of our Patreon campaign. Well, guess what? At $2,000 a month, we're going to commit to a 11-episode video series. I don't know about these two, but I am. I'll commit to it. When we went and we made the great FF debate back in the 11 version of Limit Break Radio, I think we stumbled up on a great idea, and it's been now 9 years since we executed that idea. So there's an idea that at $2,000 a month, that would be enough for us to be able to make probably more than 11, like a 14-part miniseries, 15-part miniseries, redoing the Great FF debate. All of this is very lofty. All of this requires your generosity. And all of this is, we are going to lay it in your lap for you to tell us, what do you want of us? The reason that I think we have to start from zero as opposed to giving this a year's worth of momentum and proving ourselves and showing you, the audience, the product that you're going to get by supporting the Patreon campaign. Again, I had mentioned a lot of us are in different places in our lives, and I touched on this the last time that we had talked about it, but I didn't really elaborate on it. My confidence as a creator has been completely ruined. My experience producing and hosting Checkpoint XP for the time that I did it really shook my personal and professional confidence. For those that have been catching up on stream days or hanging out with me on stream days, you'll know that I do have a day job. It's still within radio. It's in production, and it's pretty assembly line. It's pretty easy. It was in fact a job that I had before. Before we had started Limit Break Radio up again, actually. So being fired from a show that you had gone out on such a limb to kind of birth into existence, and I had to bang down doors. I had to, do pitch meetings with with people that I hated. I had to, work on the entire pitch. There was so much work, and I had even forgotten this as I was going through and clearing out some of the stuff from the Patreon page. I had forgotten how many episodes of Checkpoint we had produced in tandem with producing Limit Break Radio and Final Encounter Cast. Like, in my head, that overlap was like, I don't know, 15 episodes? When it was in reality, it was like 60, 70 episodes.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot. We were on like episode, I think 73 or 74.
Wow.
So that means that 74 episodes were produced while we were still producing Limit Break Radio and Final Encounter Cast. That's so much work. I had forgotten how much work that I had been doing, not just for Limit Break Radio, but also for Checkpoint. And to kind of have that all evaporate very abruptly, without really understanding what happened, there's a basic understanding that, it was the pandemic and that it wasn't personal, it wasn't performance related. And that's all the things that I think you're told if you're in the being fired position. And, I have no reason not to believe that. But at the same time, it has been screwing with my confidence for over a year and still continues to fuck with my confidence to this day. And I hate it. Like, I really, I miss the days where I was so confident in a concept, where I was just like ready to plow ahead and, figure out the complications as they rolled out to us. It may be the fact that, I'm 36 now, and, I'm, just in this place in my life where it's like, I can't afford to do things for free. I can't afford to just, people, and I get feedback on this all the time. People come to me and they're like, Aniro, you have the microphones, you have the ability, you have the talent. Why don't you just start another podcast? It could be about anything. Just start another podcast. And while I appreciate that kind of enthusiasm, and I appreciate, the fact that that's something that people would want to see from me and that it's requested, this is my profession. This is what I wanted to do even before Limit Break Radio. This is why I went to college. I've always wanted to be on the radio. And to not only have my own personal confidence in my professional ability shaken, but to also have my confidence in the radio industry shaken as much as it has been a real challenge for me to overcome personally. So, I don't have an end cap to this. I don't have and now I'm in therapy and I feel better. I don't have health insurance, if you want to know the real answer to that. It's something that I'm still struggling with. It's something that I'm still, it's still a chip that I have on my shoulder. And I don't want anyone to mistake this and think like I'm talking bad about Kahlo or Escalia or anyone that's left over at Checkpoint, because I'm not. The decision was not theirs. It came from far above them, and I want them to succeed and I want them to do well. But I have to be honest in that my own confidence in my ability to create a compelling show and one that was as well programmed on a meta level as Limit Break Radio was, I don't know that I have that ability. I think I do. I hope I do. And if you, as the audience, decide that you want to fund the project to find out, I'm willing to go down that road, and I'm willing to get back in the saddle. I'm willing to continue to try, but I feel like I would be doing everyone a disservice if I didn't express just how nervous I am about doing Limit Break Radio on a regular basis again. Which is fucked up because, again, when we came back for FF14 the first time, it was like, we know exactly what we're doing. We know exactly what we want the show to sound like. We know exactly who we want the audience to be. And this time, it's so much more nebulous and it's so much more hard to define because the game is the age that it is. The community is as old as it is. And, I feel like a lot of my best ideas have tapped out. I might be wrong, but that's the way that I've been feeling. So, Carletta asking, does that mean Juxta is coming back? Maybe. I don't fucking know.
Well, it depends how good you guys are with his drops.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you guys have not been on your drop game tonight. It's been okay, but they've been infrequent.
For one. Almost. I've been watching my points. I'm almost there.
Nika, do you want me to fire one for you?
I need 30 more points.
I got you, Nick.
Well, which one would you want?
Hey, phrase it.
That's a good one. Thank you, Strife.
There you go. There we go. That's good.
Oh, okay. Then I guess just pout.
That's an even better one.
Do your job.
All relevant. All relevant.
All very relevant. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at with the future of Limit Break Radio.
Jesus, did you even try?
I did try. God damn it. I was.
Jesus, did you even try?
God damn it. I did try.
Oh, they're piling on.
I know. They really are. So, yeah, I think this is the best way to proceed forward with new Limit Break Radio content. I hope that you guys agree. If you don't, if you think that there's a better way to organize this, I know that maybe my description of everything wasn't the greatest. Send me a DM on Twitter or a private message on Discord or whatever, and let's talk about it. I'd love to hear your ideas for what you'd like to see out of a Limit Break Radio Patreon campaign. And, the ultimate goal here is to, bring back a podcast that you guys would both love and want to continue to listen to. And, it's really hard because the rose-colored glasses effect is usually what ends up happening with, show revivals, especially if they've been gone after a while. And for every little change that has to be made because either somebody's not available or, it just can't functionally be the same, there's a lot of resistance to that. So as long as we've gotten through the fact that it is going to be a very different show up front, and you think that that's still worth supporting, then the Patreon will be there to allow you to do that. And I think actually the bigger part is getting the LBR archives back online. We really want to be able to do that. We also want to be able to build a new website. Obviously, we can't use the old website since it's been compromised, but we really would like to be able to build a new website. Obviously, for that, we're going to need a web designer. So, anything that you can toss in the fundraising bucket is certainly helpful. So, but I think with that, that's it. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to add?
I just want to say it's been amazing, being part of this, and I appreciate it.
I don't know. I'm excited, but also, just knowing that it's all going to be different going forward, but still cool that it's still part of my life.
Well, and we'd like to make it a part of your life, but in order to do that, we're going to need a little help. And, it seems like the LB Army was up to the task before, and if you're still up to the task, we are going to make that possibility available. If not, I think that, it's okay. This show is a lot of fun to do in terms of revival specials when we have a reason to do it, whether it's a huge announcement like Endwalker or FanFest or even something as simple as celebrating Soken and his health. I think that, periodically, even if we are, not hitting our fundraising goals, you may end up seeing, Limit Break Radio sporadically. But the Patreon is the way to get us to commit to a regular schedule, and so that you can have regular content that you can rely on, even if it's not maybe weekly content. When can we expect the LBR musical? I don't think my singing voice is. Let me see. No, I don't think it's going to be ready.
Speaking of other LBR content, I forgot to tell you, Nero, when I was streaming last Wednesday, there was one outcry of one piece of Twitch content they really wanted to see. And they really, really, really wanted to see a Nero Angry Rant hot tub stream.
Ooh. Oh. Well, I can do that. Listen, I can ruin the hot tub stream meta on Twitch very easily. I already have the thong to do it. The only thing I don't have is the hot tub. So...
kiddie pool will work. These people are
apparently, so I have seen. You know what? There might be a day where I just go over to my parents' house and be like, I'm gonna borrow your pool, and don't look outside at all. So yeah, we'll see about that. Maybe we'll make that a stretch goal. Is an Nero angry rant hot tub stream. Although I don't know, I don't know that I'd be able to work up that same amount of anger hanging around in a banana hammock in a thong.
I think we could figure it out.
Maybe if I'm complaining about the banana hammock, I don't know. Well,
yeah, just give yourself a wedgie beforehand, you know.
But it's a thong. It is the wedgie.
Nah, tighter. Really pull it up.
Listen, you haven't seen my thong. All right.
Well, the audience wants to. So.
It's about the width of silly string. Okay. All right.
Yeah, Nero's OnlyFans will be up very shortly.
That's right. I'm gonna do lunges in the. Listen, I'm now threatening the Limit Break Radio audience with a good time. But here's the thing: if that's something that you really do want to see for some weird fucking reason, I'll do it. We could talk about how that could be presented as a reward moving forward. But yeah, listen. Know that the Patreon is coming back. It is an inevitability. It is happening. We will be doing another episode of Limit Break Radio sometime after Tuesday, May the 25th. Obviously, that is when the next update will happen. We want to be able to have time to go through all of the content. So I'm not promising something, like May 30th or May 31st, but keep your eyes peeled to social media at Limit Break Radio on Facebook, also the YouTube, wherever the fuck else. You can. We will be sharing what the next recording date for that episode of Limit Break Radio. We're going to be talking all about the Shadowbringers entire story from beginning to end. We're going to be sharing our thoughts on all of the different story beats that happen throughout. And because Shadowbringers 5.55 will have wrapped up officially by then, we will also be doing our speculating for Endwalker, as, there's probably going to be some context that's revealed by the end of Shadowbringers. So if that is something that excites you, I would hope that it would. We will have the specific episode date forthcoming here in the next couple of weeks. Again, keep your eyes peeled on social media to do that. And at that episode, we will officially relaunch the Patreon. So if you are still subscribed and you wish to not be subscribed, you wish not to be charged for the Limit Break Radio Patreon, then make sure you go and unsubscribe on your account now before the relaunch of the Patreon in let's just call it early June. Okay, so I think that's going to be it for this episode of Limit Break Radio, and you don't actually have that long to wait for the next episode. How cool is that shit? So make sure you keep your eyes peeled to our social media so that you can join us for the next episode of Limit Break Radio. I want to thank all of our callers here today on the show. Appreciate the 2 calls that we had, as well as everyone who joined us throughout the recording of the show. Almost 100 of you hanging out here with us on stream here today. Appreciate you guys so much. I also want to thank my co-hosts for this episode, Nika and Strife. Hopefully, Juxtaposition will be back for the next episode, and we can rely a little bit less on you guys for the drops in the chat room. That's going to be it for this episode of Limit Break Radio. My name's Nero. Keep listening. Limit Break Radio is a production of LimitBreakRadio.com and Bender Media Productions. This episode was produced by Aniro Grigori. Final Fantasy XIV and AORZ are trademarks of Square Enix. Opening music in this episode from Pirate Crab. Listen to Man with the Machine Gun and other great tracks at piratecrab.bandcamp.com. Closing music in this episode provided by Husky by the Geek. Listen to this and other great Final Fantasy XIV and video game rock covers and original music at facebook.com/Husky by the Geek. In-game graphics for Limit Break Radio's Twitch stream are provided by the generous viewers of the Limit Break Radio Twitch channel. Thank you for your support. Limit Break Radio and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.